Cascade Mountains. This is S4. Sit back, relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the Cape Horn S4 headquarters here in Concrete, Washington, in the Cascade Mountains in the studio. So tonight, February 28th, happy birthday, Brittany, our daughter. So our topic tonight is black-eyed children. There are many damn theories out there, and who knows which one is true or not. So we're going to look at all of them and pick them apart like we always do. Who are they? So, the Fourth Moon Paranormal fundraiser is extended to the middle of March. You can find the fundraiser on the Fourth Moon Paranormal group. Look for it on Facebook. March 7th, we're talking Project Blue Book and MJ12. March 14th is Antarctica and what the mysteries does it hold. So change that date. Change that date, Barry, because March 14th is Antarctica. March 21st is Roundtable, and March 28th we are actually going to go investigate the Hub, which is the only bar in Concrete, with, what?
We have two.
Do we?
Yeah.
The only one that counts.
Wow.
So, no, it's an actual bar where Lone Star is a restaurant, with a little bar on the side.
Yes, yeah, yep.
I mean, come on now. The Hub has been the only bar in Concrete since the beginning of time in Concrete.
It's the watering hole.
Yeah. So, yes, it is a haunted location. We are being joined by the Northwest Paranormal Research Group. Hey, Jay, I know you're listening. So, let's see. What are some of the patterns of the Men in Black?
Men in Black?
No, oh my God, the black-eyed children.
What
y'all
show are you on?
Y'all getting me all kinds of thrown off here. What the hell?
Hey, Tim. Nice to see you in there.
No, I'm not selling children on Facebook. Yeah. God, I hate Facebook.
Okay, we need to explain that.
So I go to throw our promo up, which simply says black-eyed children starting in 10 minutes, and it shows up as a sales post that, oh yeah, we're selling children with black eyes.
Minutes.
Are you serious? No. Come on, Facebook. Yeah. Anyway.
Now we're going to get the MIB at the door.
Yeah. Now the Men in Black are going to be pissed off because we're selling their children.
Oh. All right.
So, what's your thoughts on the black-eyed children, Barry?
Well, the black-eyed children to me is a phenomenon that has been around for a long, long time. That's what most people don't realize. It was noted in the 50s.
Yep.
You know, there was several cases in the 50s, and then the popular cases come out in 97 with Brian Bethel, I think.
Yeah.
With Brian Bethel. And then it gets some airplay. The internet starts grabbing onto it, and people think it's an internet type induced thing, but it technically wasn't, because they were seen in the 50s. And they're so, you were talking about what's their kind of like their MO? It seems like most of these kids are between 6 and 16. Most everybody, when they first encounter them, feel just a terrible, immense feeling of dread.
Okay, let's stop right there because
Okay.
I wanted to bring something up about that. How many other paranormal situations, though, do you get that same feeling of fear and dread? You get that from spirits. You get that from demons. You get that from aliens. You get that from, there's so many, even Bigfoot. There have been cases where people went up and they get this unusual sense of feeling or dread. So I wanted to pick apart each of these signs because so many of them, that's how you get to the bottom of it. Again, you get to the root. But, yes, people say they get a feeling of dread. And this is behind the closed door. So they hear a knock on the door. And that's usually how it starts. They either get a knock on the car window or they get a knock on the door. Even a business. It could be a grocery store. It could be a gas station. Which I'm going to read 4 stories later on in the show. My 4 most intriguing ones anyway. Because, you Google black-eyed kids, you're going to find 11 billion stories out there. A lot of them are from creepypasta. A lot of them are from Reddit. A lot of them are from, and a lot of stuff they say starts at creepypasta. I don't buy it. I'm with you as far as the black-eyed children goes. Yeah, it goes back to the 40s. It actually goes beyond the 40s and 50s, but more commonly documented in the 40s and 50s.
Yes.
But when you're talking about this feeling of dread, and they have to ask to come in. Now, you can open the door. They're not coming in. You have to say, yes, come on in, kids. Or, yeah, get in the car. But
it sounds like a vampire.
It's like a vampire. They got to be invited.
It's like it's also demonic. I can see all the arguments because you got the people that, well, they're actually demons. No, not everything's a damn demon. I got into an argument with another guy on another group that aliens are actually demons. No, they're not. No, aliens are aliens. Demons are demons. There's too many races out there for them all to be demonic. And,
Right. Some of them may think demonic thoughts, but...
Well,
we had all the children last night. They are definitely demons.
Yeah.
So the only one I can see as far as alien races go that you can actually try to compare to a demon would be the gray. But a lot of these, you've even got MUFON people that think aliens are demonic. But again, if you dig a lot deeper and if you actually research a lot deeper, you will find that there's multiple alien races out there. So what? They're all demons?
Well,
no.
I think that's partly what they're trying to do is just fit it into their known religious beliefs.
Yeah.
And
well, that's right. That's exactly
in truth,
right.
There is nothing wrong with that.
No.
As long as you are not presenting that as information to others in a...
Well, that's the thing.
You should believe this with me.
But that's the thing. The guy was saying, because I told him that's a great theory.
Yeah.
And his argument was, well, actually, God told me blah, blah, blah. It's not a theory. It's truth. Because God told me this. I'm like, well, okay.
I'm not going to argue with God, man.
I'm like, whatever. It's still a great theory.
God said I should get a quad then.
Oh, my God. You're going to get a quad?
Did you hear about that?
I did. I heard it. It was in my head.
Wow.
I heard we're getting a quad.
Looks like we're getting a quad.
So anyway. FMP is getting a quad.
Here's the thing that bothers me about it, though.
Right.
So there are people that say that, it's like a hybrid gray alien or something. Okay?
They get...
The problem I see with that is, do you need to invite a gray alien in?
No. You don't.
No.
They just come
in whenever they want to.
Right.
To be fair, it's the polite thing to do, though. Just saying.
Coffee? Hot chocolate? No, wait.
Yeah.
Kids don't drink coffee, so you say, hot chocolate?
Right?
Yeah. cookie. But
See, that's the thing that threw me off of the alien thing, was that
Well-
I've never heard of a race of aliens that you had to invite into your door.
you don't. They just come in and do their thing. And
This is why Facebook
Well,
thinks you're
how
selling
do most
children. You
people
just offered them a
describe an
cookie.
alien?
I'm sorry, what was that?
say that again.
How do most people describe an alien? Large black eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Slimy.
where it comes from. That's where it comes from. Because, look at all the movies, everything else we've seen. Everything dark, demonic, anything like that. We have seen so many black-eyed things that are associated with it. And, Azazel was, some suggest he is the angel of death, but I've got beefs with that. But there are...
Azazel was a warrior, was he not?
Yeah, and he is also not a... Well, I'm not going to get into... Well, I'll just complete story on him, but...
No.
Yeah, and he's depicted with black eyes,
Right.
There has been things that have been discovered and found hundreds of years ago, and where they're digging down in Brazil and all these areas, and they're opening up these large places where they found I think it's called Earthen Man or something like that, where they had all these depictions of all these drawings and everything else, all thousands of years old, and there's only one human effigy that's been made, and it was made of this man, and they actually went and got onyx or something for his eyes that were black.
Right.
Oh, it was obsidian. I'm sorry. And the people who have seen it say that it's one of the most creepiest things in the world. But here is an effigy of something that has, and it's the only one they found out of all these thousands of things, is a guy with black eyes, and they actually, to emphasize it, they put obsidian in his eyes, and they went miles and miles and miles to get the obsidian because it's not native, not near where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite weird. When you start talking about dread and the stuff that you said, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
It interties with everything. One of the other things that people talk about is a lot of times they show up in out-of-date clothes.
Okay, so with that, they ask the most obscure questions. So, like, there's been a couple cases where they walk up, they knock on the door, the person answers the door, they say, "Is dinner ready?"
Yeah, they want to know.
Really?
They want something to eat. Yeah.
And in one case I know, or it might have been two cases, they ask, "Can we borrow your telegraph?" I don't know who's got a telegraph in their damn house, but yeah, sure.
Right over there.
But no, yeah, absolutely. They're in off-dated clothes. They ask
Off-dated,
so that kind of lends, and we'll get into the theories of all of it later. But that would indicate a time traveler, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Well, they
Could
also
be.
seem to have like a gargled voice.
Yeah, a monotone voice.
Monotone, kind of garbly voice.
So, in description, yes, they are ages between 6 and 14, generally speaking. Their clothes are out of date. Not always. Sometimes they look like regular kids till they raise their head and they have no eyes.
Right.
In one description, it was like there were no eyes it was just sockets. There were no eyes. Now, looking at that I'm taking this the same way as we are. So, Missing 401, we will be talking about here probably in April or May. But we are actually going to, and I sent David Paulides an email asking him, has anybody ever gone to these trail locations and actually treated it like a paranormal investigation? Has anyone ever picked up an EMF meter? Looked for hot, cold spots? Done a full-scale paranormal investigation of a missing 401 site. Same thing with black-eyed children. Has anyone ever been able to, or, usually you're probably not thinking of this, but from a paranormal perspective, is there an EMF reading from these kids? Is there, has anyone ever tried to take a picture of them?
Well, from what stories I've heard, the person is so crippled with fear that they couldn't even move, let alone try to take a picture of this person.
Except for one case, but they didn't live very long.
Well, that's the weird thing,
but we'll get to that one because that one actually happened, I believe, in the 50s, and they actually let these kids in.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
and that case actually, that's what really brings to me the black, the Men in Black, because in that case, I'll read it later, but in that particular case, the kid said, "Our parents are here." They opened the door. There's two guys dressed in, Men in Black attire, standing by a car. The kids went out, got in the car, and they left. But the old man,
the family's life goes to hell.
Huh?
If they didn't die, they'd probably been better if they died.
Well, the old man did have a nosebleed right from the start.
Yeah.
So you're talking nosebleed. To me, that means your blood pressure went up. That's generally, you get an instant nosebleed like that. Oftentimes, they raise your blood pressure. What else we got? So they ask to enter your home or your car, and they're very adamant, and they get angry when you say no. And they,
or they shoot off somewhere. Maybe later, if we have time, I'll tell you my quick story about my encounter with him coming home one night, and I didn't think about a camera. I was thinking,
get the hell out of here.
These are black-eyed kids. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
And, I had odd things going on before and after it happened. So
they have they have no pupils, and they're very pale. That was the other thing.
Yeah, just like Men in Black. Last week or the week before last, we were talking about Men in Black, and that's the same thing. That's why some people think that they're associated with them because of being picked up or seeing them dropped off by Men in Black or something like that in the neighborhood. But this is, to me, one of the most bizarre things out there, and it's getting more and more sightings over and over. Now, what does that do to the internet? Does that do to anything else? And
and that's one of the theories: is the more you study them, the more you talk about them, the better chance you have of actually having an encounter with them.
Oh, fantastic!
Oh, great!
I've been studying for the last 2 weeks.
Great.
And, okay. But
excuse me, there's something knocking on my window right now.
Tommy knockers.
Hey, let him in. We'll listen.
First hand account over here.
So the other thing is mind control. So sometimes the witness will do things out of character. The animals will do something out of character. We'll get to the animal aspect here in a minute. But they normally wouldn't do. So, like, you feel like opening the door. And they know you're there anyway, because in one case, this guy creeped up to the door because he heard knocking, and he peeped through the peephole. Now, he didn't say anything, but the older one was like 14-ish, and looked up, and that's when they noticed, well, there's no eyes, these are black-eyed kids. And the 14-year-old said, "May we come in? It's cold out here." And, the witness is going, "How in the hell did they know I was here?" Yeah. And the witness is like, "Hell no. And
that's kind of easily explained, though, because most people think that you can't see that way. But if you would put your eye, you're in a room, you have a hole in your door, it's got a light source in it, and when you go close to it, your eye blocks out the light, and you could definitely tell someone's looking through the door.
But if they're all looking at the ground, they're not going to see the shadow. Now, this is going by the witness, obviously. So were they actually looking at the ground? I don't know. Huh?
I have a question. If there's a knock at your door, and you are all of a sudden overcome with an overwhelming sense of dread, why open the door?
Oh, she didn't open the door.
Who would open the door?
He.
Or does that happen after you open it?
Well, that's the thing that most people...
for different cases.
That's why they talk about the mind control, being able to give some kind of mind signal or make you do something that you would never, ever do a million times over, so...
Right, like offering them a cup of cocoa. Come on in.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I give Bigfoot a cup of coffee. Yeah. But anyway.
Bigfoot isn't going to, eat your soul or whatever.
He might.
I said, I have a question for you guys.
What?
What's up?
What? When I've looked this up, researched it, and stuff like that, it seems like there's only, when there's two of them, I was reading, it was always the older one that was doing the talking.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like the one I was reading about where the guy was in his car and they knocked on his window. Mm-hmm. And it was the older one doing the talking and not the younger one. Is that, why would that be? Is the younger one have things that he's going to do later? You did let him in?
From what I saw, the younger one doesn't talk unless the older one isn't making leeway. If the older one cannot get you to move on your position, then the younger one does speak, and their voice is more powerful.
Oh, I've got a story to read later about a Marine. A Marine that actually had them show up at his barracks.
Oh wow.
I mean, what the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You know what? And to add to Paul's case, or Brian rather, yeah. So yeah, the first real document was Brian Bethel in Texas in 1996, and they were outside his car. He was writing a check, and these two kids knocked on his window, wanting a ride to go get money because they wanted to go see a movie. Well, you know what threw me? You know what threw me funny as hell with that whole thing is when they told him, hey, mister, we're just two kids and we don't have a gun." I mean, what kids are going to tell you that? Seriously.
Yeah.
We don't have a gun.
Well,
that's the last thing I think about. But
what area was that?
That was in Texas.
Texas? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Well,
but this is 1996.
Yeah.
Not now. I mean, yeah, okay, I might be a little more suspect right now about a kid having a gun, but in 1996, I wouldn't be worried about whether you had a gun or not as a kid. I mean, just some of the obscure things they say is just awkward. Mm-hmm. So next up, we have the animal response. So you have dogs that are in the yard, and if the black-eyed kids show up, the dogs ain't barking.
They silenced them.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Or the dogs are terrified.
Yeah.
You know, and in one case, inside the house, the person's dog normally runs to the door. and so the dog was barking and excited, and as soon as she reached for that doorknob, the dog was under the couch. Huh. So, and that's with everything paranormal. Always pay attention to your pets.
Right.
Because pets can pick up on spirits. Pets can pick up on, I don't know about the alien side, but pets can pick up on hauntings. They can definitely pick up on black-eyed kids, apparently. Then we've got the predatory sense. So in one or two cases I read about, it felt like they were being hunted.
Yes.
Yeah, they became the prey real quick.
They're actually being chased by these...
and supposedly they can run pretty dang fast.
I think the other one I've got is from the 1940s, and it was a boy that was walking in a field. Yeah. And there's just one child in black. Mm-hmm.
That was in the 50s.
Was it?
I think that was Harold's case. I can't remember Harold's last name, but
and they took
they
took him to church. afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. He was kind of like the guy who was,
I'll read it later.
Just being nice. And supposedly the kid was leaning against a fence post, you know, and wanted to go into his home.
Yeah. He told the kid, because he asked him what he was doing. He said, "I want to go to your house." Really? No,
Yeah.
you're not going to take strange kids to your house, even as a kid. And they disappear into thin air. So there was another case involving law enforcement where this cop saw, it was like midnight, 1 in the morning, and this cop saw 2 kids knocking on a door on a balcony. Mm-hmm. And so this cop's going, what are these, how come nobody's answering the door? And what are 2 children doing at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning knocking on a door and the parents ain't letting them in? So this cop walks around, and by the time he gets up there, I mean within, 2-3 minutes, he asks these kids what they're doing, and he looked away and they're gone. They're on a balcony. How did they just go disappear? No, so this cop was baffled. He spent like half an hour, patrolling around looking for these kids. Obviously never did find them. So PBR, didn't X-Files have a black-eyed kid show? I don't remember that one.
Yes,
black
they
oil
did.
would affect people's eyes.
Yeah. There's been so many things, and yes, X-File did have black-eyed children.
Did they? Which episode? Do you remember?
Show. I don't remember the episode, but I do remember it. So, and it was definitely.
They did a movie called Black-Eyed Children in 2015. I never got to watch it. I believe it's on Amazon Prime.
It's called All Souls.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, the X-Files?
The X-Files. Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to write that down. Now, this is one I... Have you ever heard of the smell of sulfur on rare occasions?
Yes.
How many cases? Because all the cases I read, there's only one that talked about smelling sulfur.
And it's an older case, too.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's an older case.
Did they live by Yellowstone?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's some of them tied into a type of creature that may have been involved with flatwoods, because the smell of sulfur was very high around it.
Right. And let's see, the last one, some witnesses have got cancer or other illnesses after an encounter with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one you were talking about, that, what happens when they get inside.
Right.
We're not too sure because...
usually you don't hear.
Yeah, you don't hear because either you're dead or something happens. But one couple that you were talking about, as soon as they got picked up by mom and dad, which was dad and dad, I guess,
if you want to call them
in the Men in Black outfits,
right.
Their cats disappeared or died. They were plagued with illness. They had all kinds of cancer diagnoses seemingly coming out of nowhere, all kinds of different stuff. So, and she contributed everything that happened to them because she made the mistake of letting them in their house.
Right.
But...
So that's all your signs and symptoms of black-eyed children. I don't think we missed any. So
let me see. Did we miss any? Nope. Talked about naked clothes. Talked about
the verbiage
stuff. Yep.
The feeling of dread and fear.
How about their teeth?
No one's seen their teeth.
Oh yeah, they have.
Oh,
there is a report about someone seeing their teeth and they were sharp and
smiled
jagged.
And they were sharp
really?
and jagged
yes,
teeth.
they were more like shark teeth.
Oh, and talons. I read in a couple cases that they had talons for feet or something.
That's weird. They were like harpy babies.
Clawed talons. I don't know, like a bird. Pterodactyl. Maybe they're pterodactyl babies.
Ooh.
Oh.
Well, there has been some link to like the secret society type stuff also.
Which one though? I mean,
I would
Bohemian Grove. There we go. That sounds about right.
Right, yeah. But you know, some of the secret societies, and with the things going on today that we hear about that most people don't hear about, with these children are lead into that way of Satanism, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Satanic rituals. You know, one of the odd things about it is that are we dealing with, you know, with some of these missing children and some of the things that are having the different colors of skin, if they were kept underground all the time and they were let out to collect other people or a food source possibly or something like that.
That's why whoa. It makes sense now. That's why I like the black-eyed babies and I'd let them in. They're rake babies.
Yeah. So, you know,
really?
you would think that, well, maybe they're dealing with an alien race or anything else, but because the odd clothes, everything like that, because this has been going on for generations.
Right.
And some of them have been kept underground. They're going to be pale. Their eyes are going to be useless, basically. And one of the odd things about it is you only see them in dark. Mm-hmm. Most of the time you see them right.
No. I've got quite a few cases that were in broad daylight.
The ones that I've seen, most of them were kind of dark because it seems like that's when they are able to come out and affected.
Did you read about the case where the neighbor was concerned because his neighbor wasn't putting up the Halloween decorations?
No.
So he goes to his neighbor's house and he asks, you know, hey, it's Halloween. You're usually one of the biggest, you know, decorators in the street, and you're not putting up Halloween decorations. What the hell? And the guy says, we're not doing Halloween this year. Not after last year. And he's like, what happened last year? Now he's a little concerned, you know. And he told him about, it was like 11:30, and they had turned the light out, and they didn't expect any more trick-or-treaters. And the doorbell rings. No, actually it was a door knock. Because that's what baffles people is they don't ring the doorbell. They knock.
Yeah.
And that's been brought up in a few cases was, you know, the people were confused. We've got a doorbell. Now, in all fairness, personally, I usually don't use doorbells either. I usually knock because I'm of the mindset you might have a kid that's asleep. You might have a kid that's taking a nap. I'm going to knock lightly so I don't piss you off and wake your kid up. That's where my mind goes. Yeah. So I usually knock too. So but black-eyed kids don't use the doorbell. They knock. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so here's a knock, and again, you know, like I just said, this guy's going, well, I've got a doorbell. Why ain't they using the doorbell? And he opens the door, and that's the funny thing about black-eyed kids, too, is they usually don't look right at you. They're looking down. Mm-hmm. And when you say something, they look up, and that's when the people are going, holy hell, they don't have eyes. And in a couple cases too, when they did an eye lock with the victim, it felt like their soul was being sucked out. That's how one described it, along with this feeling of pure dread and evil.
Right. Yep. And
Dennis is in the chat room. He thinks they're topos, plain and simple. I will argue with that, Dennis, because, you know, okay, Slender Man, some other stuff, if it came from creepypasta, a lot of times it is a tulpa. Black-eyed kids, however, they go back to the 40s and 50s and probably beyond that.
Yeah.
Yes.
They are well documented. And that's the only reason I will argue that point.
Yeah, if you look at certain things, you're going to see a big splash at them after 2000 and after a few books were written and everything else, and movie made of them. But they're in our history. They have been known in this black-eyed.
And tulpas too, but tulpas usually pop up and disappear. And 10 years later, they pop up and they disappear. It's really whenever you bring attention to them is when
it's like folklore. Just like you start talking about it, and you have a few people start bringing it back up, then people start seeing it again, and it's typical tulpa. So
go ahead and tell us your story, Barry. You've actually encountered them.
Yeah, I have encountered them. The funny thing about it is that I seem to, and a lot of people go, man, I've got so many damn stories, but I've always been out at night and everything else, and I'm at the Octagon Hall. I'm coming home, driving down a pretty well-known road. It's 31W in Kentucky, and heading to my house. Everything's great. I left the hall. It's about 3:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden, my truck goes, "You got a flat tire," and I feel the tire kind of like, and I went, "Oh crap!" So I'm looking for a place to turn in, and of course, at 3:30 in the morning, most of the gas stations are closed, but they still have, air and the pay stuff where you can put 4 quarters in and get some air. So I turn into this area, and it's kind of like an industrial complex, no place where you're going to see kids or anything else. There's no vehicles around anywhere.
Right.
So I get out, and I'm like going, this is really weird. I put the money into the machine, get the air going, and all of a sudden I look over, and there are 2 children standing there, and the one guy goes, hey, can you give us a ride home? We need to get home. I'm like going, what in the hell are you doing out at 3:30 in the morning in the middle of an industrial complex? And, businesses all around, gas station's not open, and what's really weird, it was kind of chilly, and they're like in shorts.
Right.
And I'm like going, wow, this is kind of weird. And then all of a sudden, one of them actually calls me by my name, Barry, And that's when I went, Barry, we need you to take us home. And then I went, holy crap. I didn't even fill my tar. I didn't do anything. I just got in the truck, pulled out, and as I was pulling away, I saw them for a second, and then all of a sudden they were gone. There was no place else for them to be, nothing else. And I went down the highway. My air, as soon as I got away from that area, the buzzer for my low tire went off, and I drove home, got to the house, never put air in the tire, everything was fine. But it was a very weird experience, and it was almost like, here I am coming down the road. I think a lot of paranormal investigators or people that have been involved in the paranormal and everything else get to experience a lot of this stuff, because I think that since we investigated everything else, I think that they're more prone to approach us. I'm not too sure if that's fact or not, but it seems like a lot of...
It makes sense because we're pulling that energy in.
Right, exactly. We always have that kind of energy and so forth.
Right.
But, I mentioned it to a lot of people, and I was like going, why? I mean, what are 2 kids doing out there? And they were dressed totally weird. the one talked, and then when the one said my name, I went like, black-eyed kids, forget it. I know what this is. You know, and they were moving closer to the truck.
Yeah.
And, you know, take us home. And it was kind of like a beg, because I did stop for a minute and was like in shock, you know.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I got around the side of that truck as fast as I could, and I didn't fill the tar, nothing, got in, started it up, and took off. I mean, just that way. Okay,
Sherry's got a question. So you look out your window instead of answering the door. If they really want to communicate with you, will they come into your home in another way? No. They have to be allowed in. That is a predominator here. They have to be allowed in. They can't just come in. That seems to be the pattern with all of them. And they get
disappear if you don't let them in. They just
they'll harass you for a few minutes, because there's another
exactly.
There's another case where they're banging on multiple windows at one time from across the house. Now, how do 2 or 3 kids do that? But you know, they are supernatural, whatever they are. But
unless that's the parent that's waiting behind. They're always there. In some cases, there is, if they're not allowed into the house when the person has looked out the window the next time.
Right.
A hooded figure that it looks like a parent has met them.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that one. Mm-hmm. Explain that one.
I just did.
So okay, but I mean, does the hooded figure have no eyes, or
hooded figure?
That's all I see.
Yeah, I think Dementor.
So you know, and that kind of goes with one of the theories too. One of the theories is they are the children of shadow beings, shadow people.
And Tim, you're asking any daytime encounters? Yes, there is.
There is a few.
There was one where the guy was actually, he didn't even own the home. He was mowing his neighbor's lawn.
Yep.
And they wanted him to let them in, and he's like, I can't even get in.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you know, originally back in the, I got to add this, I forgot to mention it earlier. Mm-hmm. But, you know, the funny thing about it is when you're researching black-eyed children, it is a known thing that black-eyed children is from the 80s, 90s, from the 90s, you know.
Right.
Because it was coined that way, but it was actually coined as BEK, black-eyed kids.
Right.
You know? So you have to get back. You have to lose the black-eyed kids, and then look for black-eyed beings, black-eyed children to be able to pick up the stuff that's later and earlier in history.
Yes, Dennis, I know where my children are. He also, and we discussed this in the very beginning of the show, Dennis. That is kind of one of the theories that black-eyed children may be the Men in Black's children, and I have a story about that I'll read later. But getting to the theories real quick, I don't think they're alien. One of the only real thing you see with them related to alien is their eyes, or the large eyes. Black-eyed kids. Are they hybrids? Yeah. That's a possibility. Children of the Men in Black. I can actually kind of get on board with that one, potentially.
Yeah,
and
we'll get decent.
We'll get to that. There's an actual story that goes kind of with that. I'll read that later.
Can I do my thing?
What?
That whole reversal.
What's the whole reversal?
Okay, so we were watching different documentaries that we could find on YouTube about black-eyed kids.
There's a plethora of them out there.
I kind of had too much sugar, and as a diabetic, that pretty much means this was drug-induced. So the kids are always asking to get in. But what if the roles were reversed?
Okay.
What, they want to get out?
No. What if they want you to come in?
Huh?
Like, what if they are in the house and you were like selling cookies or something? Or the case I came up with, which seemed really weird, was What if your Uber driver was a black guy kid?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not
they want
getting
you
in
to
the damn
get
car.
in the car.
I am not getting in the damn car.
Get in the car?
No.
Yeah.
No.
You guys have no sense of adventure.
Yeah.
No, I want to live. I've got 50 more, 40 more years
My
to
Uber
live.
driver pulls up. He's a 6-year-old with black eyes. I'm not getting in that. That's for sure. That's like going woo. But you know, they are extremely been seen more and more and more. And that's where I put them like going, geez, we've got so many different things happening. And they are associated with so many different things. And are they, the key factor is you have to ask me in, what happens if you went outside into the front porch, instead of opening, you open the door and you walked out with them, what would happen?
Right. I don't know.
Well, I think that's, the more you're around them is where it seems you actually get affected.
Yeah. You may turn around, open the door, and let them in. That's probably what would happen.
Right. So the other...
I was thinking, all the last 20 years I've been up here, I thought all day about it because I knew this was coming up.
Right.
And in the last 20 years, I've only had like 4 people knock on my door that I didn't know. 2 of them were police officers, and 2 of them were people holding Bibles and pamphlets. I didn't let any of them in either.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
In fact, I did like Barry did. I walked outside and said, you got to leave.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and usually you have a gun with you.
Oh, I would have let the people with the Bible in for a minute.
No.
Oh, no.
Not them either.
Oh, yeah, that's what you said. Jesus said you should clean my sink. Jesus said you should clean my carpet.
Okay.
Oh.
But it's so vampire-like. It is so vampire-like, asking that knowing that they have to be let in. Same thing with your car. I mean, same thing. Back when Brian, the case in Texas, he has to offer to let them in. You've got to open the door or allow them to come in.
Right.
So if you don't, in my case, I wasn't even going to get any farther. I was just like going, no way. And the one that, I'm in a very lit area because there's a light pole right by the darn area there. And you can see quite well when they're that close to you. And it was just insane. And it looked like one did have eye sockets. Just eye sockets, and the other one looked like it had dark eyes. I mean, looked like it had eyeballs, but it was just all black, and frightening. I mean, that's all you can say about it. I mean, you just don't want to encounter that stuff at 3:30 in the morning when you've been on a paranormal investigation and you're doing all kinds of stuff.
Right.
You get that going. I mean, that's like going...
So Sherry's got 2 questions real quick. Have they ever found any deceased black-eyed children? Real quick answer, no. In all the research we've done on this topic, no, there's never been.
But I mean, if you find their bones, wouldn't they be pretty much human?
I would think.
Like, if the only difference actually was the eye color, you're not going to find eyes if they've been dead long enough.
No, other than
unless it's a fresh kill.
Right.
Yeah.
But the
I
only
picked up the other point.
The only oddity to them that we've really seen is the lack of eyes, or the black eye, and the couple of cases where they had talons for feet. But I mean, is that real, or is that just?
Is that the fact that you're terrified and all of a sudden it has talons for feet too?
Right.
Yeah.
And your mind's going playing with you.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
And if they had talons for feet, does that mean they didn't have shoes on? I mean, really, let's get to the fine details here. Mm-hmm. The other question, so you engage with a black-eyed child, what will they actually do to you? Honestly, the only case, there's only been a couple cases, and I'll get to those here later on. But nobody knows, because usually the ones that actually do engage
don't talk about it. They're dead. They're gone.
They're gone.
Yeah.
And again, I only have 2 cases where there was actually constant interaction with these black-eyed kids, and I'll read those later.
Yeah. Just remember, we have a lot of missing people around the world, and we don't know how they got missing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the other theory, there's several theories we'll talk about here for a second, but changelings.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever, have you ever thought about that? Changelings. Isn't
a changeling where a spirit or some type of entity comes in and changes your kid for one of theirs?
It's usually a
You're not going to be able to do that if it's knocking on the door.
No, but that's fairy lore. And specifically, it's discussed in Irish fairy lore.
Yeah.
And most changelings, once the parents figure out that they are changelings, they kick them out of their home, and it's usually between the ages of 6 and 12 that people
and they have black eyes
that they are, and the reason is because their eyes start to change. So, changelings possibly.
It's a plausible theory.
And they're looking for their parents because they don't know who their parents are.
Yep.
Well, one of the weird things. They must know where home is because they always want you to take them home.
Yeah.
So but the odd thing about it is with what I saw personally. I've seen full body apparitions, and they're gone quick. You see them and they're gone.
Right.
These things were there. These things were as real as I was sitting outside the thing. I mean, they just looked weird. They were kind of pale, but like I said, what was weird is they were wearing shorts, and it was cold. And at the time this happened, and it was just strange, and they were there for a long period of time. I mean, you haven't seen me move. Sherry has, but I don't move the super fastest. But I was hoofing as fast as I could at that point, because I got the hose in my hand. I didn't even put the hose away. I just dropped the hose and ran around the front of the truck, and because it was on my my right side of the truck, and I had to get back in the driver's seat, and I had my door open and the whole 9 yards already.
Right.
Didn't even think about shutting my door. So, but that was the, that's the feeling you get in. Excuse me. It was just very, very strange. Not what you see in the paranormal. I kind of like the idea of the time traveler.
Right.
Or interdimensional being of some sort.
So the time travelers aspect makes sense based on the clothing and the verbiage they use. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't even think about a telegraph.
No, right, exactly.
Where does that come from?
Or either that, or they are not, or they have been. They're used for some purpose. They have been grabbed. Going into the extreme. Imagine if you were an abducted child, kept underground forever, and you were sent out to do some bidding, because your mind at that time would be totally mush anyway. Right. And they could talk you into doing anything you wanted to do, and go bring me, someone to sacrifice, or whatever you want, whatever the purpose would be,
Right.
And you'd never be seen again, and that would be it.
So then we got vampiric or demonic. We kind of already talked about that. Vampires cannot come into a home unless they're invited or allowed. Same thing with demons. Demons cannot enter you or your home unless you allow them.
But demons are a little bit more trickier than vampires, because
they are.
Yeah, the vampire is gonna basically, you gotta be invited in. Mm-hmm. Demons will trick you into being invited in many different ways. I mean,
well,
just like a pair. Yeah.
So do black-eyed children, though.
Mm-hmm.
They try.
They just suck at it.
Right. Well, they give up easy after a while.
They do. So maybe they're young demons. I mean, yeah, they are
Could
children.
be.
Here's another one: the ghosts of missing or murdered children. That came up in one of my research sites.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying about missing children. You
Yep.
know, we have tons of them, and when it first
Thousands
started,
of them out there.
and what's really weird is the missing children thing started in the 50s, and it's continued to grow to a massive amount of children. So that's why you kind of go.
Well, I mean,
missing children has gone beyond the
children
50s.
forever, and you can see it in folklore all throughout everywhere too,
Right.
where they blame it on some kind of a monster in the woods.
Well, they
that
blamed it
comes and
on
takes
witches for
children.
crying out loud.
Or witches,
Right,
or whatever.
they
You know,
yeah.
back in the 1800s, they blamed missing kids on witches. So
There's
yeah,
always been a substantial amount
there's-
of missing children.
there's been missing children for a long time. I don't think black-eyed children, however, just my opinion, I don't see them as, children you always think of as going to heaven. Yes, there are stuck children or spirits that are here, but they are spirits. We interact with them as paranormal investigators often.
Right.
So do they come knocking on your door with missing eyes? No, I don't buy
No.
that one. I just don't buy that one.
No, they definitely don't do that.
No.
If they do, I'd be out of the paranormal business.
Oh, and so with that, it is time for our first break already.
Excellent. So when we come back, we'll be back with more Black Eyed Kids.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 as we are talking about the black-eyed children, sons and daughters of the Men in Black. Anyway.
Okay.
Good theory. So, I was talking to Arnold during the break, and Arnold, you have never heard of dealings with children, black-eyed children in the state parks of Washington State?
No, but like I was saying earlier when we were talking, someone probably seen something like that. I don't think they would take time to stop and say, hey, this is going on, or this is what we saw.
Right.
Exactly.
No, absolutely.
And especially if they were out walking on one of the trails or in a parking lot getting ready to, yeah.
So, what did you read about the Iroquois? You were saying the Iroquois encountered the black-eyed children?
Yeah, they believed in a dark power called the Otkon, Okin, that would take over their children. And they would mate with the human females to produce the black-eyed, chalky-skinned children, which were made. What their was to do was to destroy the tribe and harvest their souls.
See,
well, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, but we need to do a native lore show eventually, because even when you're talking about Dyatlov Pass, if you look at the lore of the Mansi tribe, you read a lot. And we're not going to talk about Dyatlov Pass tonight because it's going to be in April or May. But
yeah, you know what? They let black-eyed children in.
Okay.
That's got to be it.
What?
No, we are not doing a native lore show. I'm sorry.
Why?
Because it's disrespectful. You got one native and a bunch of white guys and a white chick.
Okay,
no.
check it out. We're going to find a Native American to come on the show.
Not one that'll talk.
We'll see.
They're very close.
What if I self-identify as a Native American?
Huh? You can go hang out with Potato Head, okay?
Yeah.
Oh,
but
man.
no, we do have a couple ties that we might be able to get to talk. We will see. Locals, anyway. Again, you're absolutely right. They are very tight-lipped, and they are very, especially with talking to the white man. No, that doesn't happen very often. So, again, that's a work in progress.
To be fair, the last time they tried, you kind of took everything.
Oh, yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. I totally get it.
So, black-eyed babies.
Yeah, so the next one was Children of the Shadow People. I don't see that one either. And then is Interdimensional Creatures. And I hate sounding like a broken record. Everything's interdimensional. No, not everything is interdimensional. The only thing I think is interdimensional is Bigfoot. But black-eyed children, the way they disappear, I will say, is very mysterious. How would you explain that?
So I have a weird theory.
Okay.
Okay.
You always have weird theories.
I do. I actually have two weird theories about the black-eyed kid. And I think that they could be one or the other of these. And the first theory is that, have you guys heard of the woman in white, or the weeping woman? Okay.
You told me about it today.
We all know that kids, especially when they die in a tragic way, don't always know that they're dead. Okay? So it would explain the different types of clothing that they're wearing, and it would explain the gargled voice, and it would explain why they're knocking on doors and saying things like, "Can I use your telegraph?" or "Can you help me find this person? Can you take me home?" So, and the other theory that I had was that we talk about them disappearing just basically into thin air. What if they're jinn?
They're too... So, let me clarify. Jinn are predominantly Middle Eastern. They can't come here. I mean, there's no doubt. They can go wherever they want. But there's many cases, and the two main places you've got I keep wanting to say Men in Black, black-eyed children cases is in North America and in England.
Right, but that's the ones that haven't let them in.
Right.
Well,
We have no idea how many more have.
Basically, in a pub is one of the most haunted pubs in the country, in the UK. And they've been seen in the building,
right?
If I'm not mistaken. So a little bit different in that aspect because they're already inside, but they have harassed people to ask them to take them home or to do something with them.
Now, you just sparked a thought. What if a lot of these extremely haunted locations are actually because whoever lived there let the black-eyed children in?
Oh, that is interesting now.
Well, but...
Not all of them, obviously, but I don't know. We don't know what happens to people.
There's lots of stories, like going way back, of people walking through fields and disappearing.
Right.
Like say there's a portal.
Right.
Okay. Just thinking outside the box here, but what if these were some kids way back whenever, and they're out playing in a field, and they both run through this portal. They don't realize it. And maybe the black eyes is a side effect
of coming into our dimension,
transporting them to here, and they're just confused and dulled, and they're pale because they're freaking out, and maybe the black eyes is just a side effect, and maybe they are just lost.
Right? That's why okay. So,
and that's why when someone actually does let them in, they're never seen again.
Everybody dies.
Maybe everybody goes back to their time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that portal opens because you have two individual black-eyed children.
And it closes behind them, therefore you're the one that took them home. You're never seen again.
And they have to come inside. That was proven with one case where the guy actually did offer, they asked for a telephone so they could call their parents. And he didn't want to let them in, so he offered them his cell phone. And they got angry. And they said, no, we need to use your real phone. And they pointed at his landline. And he's like, oh, hell no. And he closed the door. But, I mean, if you're talking, I don't know, 1920s, 1900s kids that happen to come through a portal, they're not going to know what the hell a cell phone is. Yeah, I saw that on TV, too. Star Trek. Star Trek. This isn't real.
They didn't have Star Trek in the 1920s, just so you know.
No. But they had cell phones.
When?
In Star Trek, before we had cell phones.
They had communicators. Thank you very much.
Blah.
They also had tablets.
They did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I was just thinking that there's a lot of people out there nowadays that have those Ring cameras. Their doorbell is actually a camera, and they're catching porch pirates and stuff like that. I wonder if any of those are going to be picking up these black-eyed kids coming up to the house.
Right.
Yeah, that's the funny thing.
Pirates, those people come up and steal your packages, and maybe some of them are going to start showing up on those.
I don't think so.
I don't want to see it.
I don't think so because, getting to the paranormal side, it makes me wonder if they would manipulate electronics.
Exactly.
We always see cameras go white. We see batteries get drained. We see,
yeah, but you do hear voices on electronics that people didn't hear.
Right.
Wasn't one of them caught?
So you got both ends of the spectrum there.
Wasn't one set of them caught on CCTV?
I think so, yeah.
So
I didn't see it, but yeah.
You'd think if they were manipulating electronics, they would do it within a certain radius.
Or they could do it at will and they didn't see that CCTV. Or did they look at it?
But if they're from the 1920s, they're not going to know what a Ring camera is.
That's true.
Yeah.
It would have to be it'd have to be within a certain radius. And if that was the case, then I would think the Ring camera would fail.
Because there are videos of the Ring cameras actually picking up paranormal activity.
Right.
So
I get that. It seems to. I don't know what. I don't know. Oh, this is unknown.
Oh,
Because, no, you're right. Security cameras, Ring TV has all caught orbs and all caught apparitions or shadows, things of that nature. But they've been longer range usually, not right up on the camera.
okay, now you're just hearing. We're just hearing about basically the adults that have had these things knock on their doors, right?
Right.
Okay, so
Except for one child. Well, there's a couple child cases where there's the kid stayed in the car, the mom went to the barber shop or the beautician, and she saw somebody that she thought she recognized from school, so she knocked on the window and waved at him.
Mm-hmm.
And this black-eyed child came up to the window and said, "You got to let me in." And when she looked at this child, she saw, black eyes, and like, "Oh, hell no." And she said, "No." And the child disappeared. Not literally, but the child left. And her mom came out, 20 minutes later, got in the car, and said, the weirdest thing happened. But this child with black eyes walked into the hair salon and told me I had to give me the car keys because she had to get in the car. Like, huh. And of course, the mom said, "Oh, hell no. You're not getting in my car."
Mm-hmm. So, it just reminds me, of this sounds weird, but it does remind me of a fairy tale that I've read, and it's Peter Pan. Where some child knocks on your window, asks to be let in, and then takes you away into a different land.
That is actually.
But Peter Pan didn't knock on the window to open it up. He found the window open, didn't he?
Yes.
I mean, he just. Yes,
But,
he
to be
didn't
fair,
knock on the window.
Right?
Tinkerbell opened the window for him.
Damn fairies.
Yes.
And that is his personal entity, so he opened the window. He wasn't. Yeah, they didn't let him in. He came in.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, because it has everything from the shadow people to everything.
That was full out breaking and entering.
Right? Okay, I'm going to read the first story, and then we're going to pick it apart.
Wait just 1 second.
Okay, what?
Yeah.
I got to give a shout out to the chat room and say hey to Sherry. You missed a great event last night. And the other thing about it is that we didn't talk about this, I don't think. There are also been seen black-eyed adults, have there not?
Yes. Black-eyed women mostly. But...
Black-eyed women. Christina George was supposed to be on tonight. She had a family emergency. She couldn't make it tonight. We'll have her on another show. But yes, Christina George has actually encountered women with black-eyed women.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we forgot to mention too is, I know hoodies are popular,
right? But
it seems like the black-eyed children and even the black-eyed adults are always wearing hoodies, and they always have the hoods up.
Right, they have the hoods up to hide their eyes, and you don't really notice the appearance of these children until they actually look up at you. And that's when you see the black eyes and you're going, "Oh, no,
Yeah.
wait, something ain't right here."
Hold on.
But before that, you actually do have the feeling of dread before you see the eyes. You just don't know why you have this feeling of fear and dread.
Well, black-eyed children can't be from before the 1930s.
Why?
Because that's when the hoodie was invented.
Well, it's just like the... Okay.
Okay, I'm
so
pretty sure.
it makes me wonder what their appearance was like before the 1930s.
But we're all also assuming...
We'd have to talk
even
about
though
the
they're-
natives then.
Here's the thing, even though they're time travelers, we're all assuming that they're from the past.
Mm-hmm.
But...
They could be from the future.
They could be from the future.
They could be from an apocalyptic future. They're always dirty, they're grungy, they're kind of... like, they're gangly.
So, they're Road Warrior kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Joe!
It is a possibility.
Road Warrior kids.
Maybe this is the way they save the world. They are taking out people that
Cause the apocalypse.
cause the apocalypse.
That's why we all don't see them.
That's why we're good.
Yep.
It isn't our fault.
You can believe that all you want.
I'm just saying, Barry got a visit.
All right. We'll blame it on Barry.
That's right.
We'll blame it all.
Barry
on
causes
Barry.
the apocalypse.
Oh,
Right.
great.
All right, so here's a Marine. And I'm sorry, coming from the military, we don't get scared of a whole lot. So, this is a Marine, which is, to me, the more badass of the military. So, while based at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina, an unnamed U.S. Marine stated that on November of 2009, he had a strange encounter with black-eyed children near the barracks where he lived. The anonymous witness stated that he was alone in his room one evening watching a movie when a knock came at his door. Expecting it to be his roommate, who had forgotten his key, the Marine opened without hesitation. When he did, though, he was presented with the sight of two small children standing outside. Now, if you're... this is what's weird. So, when he says barracks, our barracks are enclosed. You have to go past a staff duty, or somebody sitting at a desk, usually, to get to the rooms. So, I mean, I don't know how Marine barracks are. It sounds like these were like a balcony with, more like an apartment complex type style.
Well, some of the balconies from some of the, or not a balcony, I apologize. The barracks were, when I was younger, we lived in a barracks. Mm-hmm. And it was a, just like the natural barrack where you'd have a lot of rooms, a lot of beds in it and everything else.
You're thinking of the open floor plan barracks, like basic training.
Right, exactly. But what they did is they took those barracks and they made them into housing for people that had kids and so forth. And so so for a short time, I was in a barracks, and that's where we were. But it was a single barracks. That's why it was me and my roommate. They had a whole barracks area that was conditioned into a home like thing with 2 bedrooms and stuff.
That's weird. I hear it too. I hear music in the background.
No, it's a rice rocket.
Huh?
It's a rice rocket.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's on my end.
Oh, okay.
Someone's going up the hill down the valley, and it's echoing through the whole valley here.
Oh, wow. So, as soon as he saw these children, the man stated that he was filled with dread and had the impulse to slam the door shut as fast as he could. That was before he realized that both children had jet black eyes. Despite his fear, the Marine asked the children what they wanted, to which they responded, all the while staring straight at him, that it was cold outside and that they wanted to come inside and read.
Wow.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh because I don't know of a whole lot of kids that want to go inside a stranger's house and read. No. I give my kids a book and tell them to read. Oh my God, they throw the book and no. So the Marine suddenly realized that no one else was within sight, and as the children took a step towards the room, he gave into the impulse that was racing through him and shut the door quickly. The knocking continued for several minutes, in addition to a rattling from his window, before the noises stopped and the children appeared to be gone. That case baffles me because they went to a Marine barracks, a military base.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can get anywhere, man.
Oh, well, yeah.
But that's the thing. Like we talk about, they're doing some kind of mind control thing a little bit.
Right.
They could have done that on the duty sergeant.
And that's another case of where they're knocking on his door and his window, which, windows rattling at the same time.
Well, there was 2 of them,
Yeah.
was there not?
Oh, okay, so I'm sorry. I'm used to like 3-story barracks.
Plus,
That's
there's
where I've always been in.
Maybe the mom's really tall.
Huh?
Maybe the mom's really tall.
That's even scarier.
Slender Man is their daddy.
The next morning he went down to their again what I would call a CQ or a charge of quarters staff duty, which is your 24-hour duty, and asked them if they'd seen, small children, which obviously being in a Marine barracks, there's not going to be any children around, generally speaking. Mm-hmm. And they hadn't seen anything.
Okay, so shouldn't that answer it right there, whether or not they can be caught on camera?
What do you mean?
Isn't there cameras? I don't know anything about bases.
We never had cameras.
Okay.
And even if there is, they're probably not watched 24/7.
Yeah.
Now,
what about, like,
exception
the
to
convenience
that
store?
exception to that rule would be Special Forces barracks, Rangers battalions, things of that nature, where there is classified areas.
Yeah.
They would.
Yeah, like classified areas, yes.
Well, even the barracks, if I remember right, because I had friends that were in Special Forces battalion, Ranger battalion. If I went to see them at the barracks, oh my God. Even me as a soldier trying to get to see my buddy, I was like pulling teeth.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, though, is like, okay, Barry, the place that you stopped to refill your tire, right?
Yeah.
Were there no security cameras on that, like, Chevron station or whatever?
They may have been. I didn't even think about it. I mean, I was like...
You didn't think about going back either, did you?
No. No, I mean, when you look at when you take the paranormal out, as long as I've done it and everything else, there's always been times when I have seen something, had a camera in my hand, and it just blows your mind.
Right.
And you just sit there and you go, oh, I could have took a picture of that, but it's not there that long, Mm-hmm. Same thing. I just did not, you just don't think about it. You're like going, I don't even want to go by there.
Right.
I didn't,
it just makes me
I would
wonder...
go for a while. I went the long way around and came down 31W farther south at where that was to be able to so I didn't have to go by there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know that sounds
you were
weird.
targeted. You were targeted because didn't your low tire light come on your vehicle?
That's
and
exactly
then you
the way
put
that
air
I
in,
thought
but
about
the
it.
next day you had plenty of air.
Yeah, well,
so they got you to pull over there.
That's exactly the way it was. It was like they actually caused a malfunction.
Well, and because it doesn't sound like you got to fill it all the way up either, did you?
I didn't even. I put the money in it, started pumping air, and they were coming towards me and talking at the same time. Like, can you take us home?
And the only tire I know of that fills itself up is a CTIS unit. And we have them in the military.
Yeah.
You civilian? I know. You don't have a CTIS unit.
No.
Okay, so
we have self-inflating tires now in civilian tire vehicles.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and it's like I said,
they suck. They don't work for shit. But
when I left that area and just got down the road a little bit of the way, the alarm actually went off and never came back on again.
Right? Yeah, you're targeted.
Okay, so
that's how I felt. I felt like it was, and that's exactly the way that I've, even in a lot of times when we go on cases and we do so many different cases, you're out, we've talked about a lot of times before how we're marked or whatever, and they know you're coming or whatever. Well, it's like these things knew that there goes Bear, and the bizarre thing is that the one said my name.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't Bear. Everybody knows me as Bear. And when somebody uses my name, Barry, it really sets me off. I mean, it's like going, what?
Right.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is, do
like,
you think the other people can even see them? Or if it's just the person that's getting targeted? Because there's been times that this has happened in like a housing development, and the only person that saw them at all was the one that they were knocking on the door of.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and the same thing with UFOs, the same thing with some spirits. They can show themselves at will to individuals. So,
right.
Again, it's
yeah, it lends itself. The door is wide open. When when you think about it like that. And no, and I'm not kidding you. I did not. It had been very easy for me to go the same way home and just drive across. I was probably at that point maybe 3 miles from home, and every time I went to the Octagon Hall or I had to go somewhere, I took the roundabout way and cut through another way. And I did it on purpose because I did not want to drive by that place.
Right.
Even during the day. I mean, and at nighttime, I would come back a different way at night. But late at night, if I was at the hall late at night, I didn't want to come back through there. I would go another way. You know, and that lasted for about, maybe 2.5 weeks. And then I got over it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of hair raising to say the least. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
That's all. You know, and especially when you have your driver's door open, because I do that quite a lot. I get out and I leave my driver's door open, do what I got to do, and then just jump back in the truck. You know.
That's how you end up with a serial killer in the back seat. Don't do that.
Right?
Exactly.
Always look at the back of the truck.
Right.
All right, you're gonna love this.
And of course, being in the pickup truck, they could have jumped in the back of the pickup truck and been there with me the whole time. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, they have to be invited, or they have to be allowed to get in. So.
But do you think they could have gotten the bed without being invited because it wasn't the cab?
No.
No.
Right.
I don't think
so. It is open.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's still your
They
property.
come up on your porch.
Yeah, but they're on your porch, and that's still part of it, right?
Yeah.
So maybe they're just banging on the back of your window while you're driving. Let me
So
in.
here's one of my favorite cases. In January of 2016, that's 5 years ago. So that's recent. A report appeared on the internet said to have come from an unnamed woman who had not only encountered black-eyed children, but made the mistake of allowing them to come into her home.
Ooh.
So according to the report, it was a decision that she believed would have lasting implications. The woman claimed to live in Vermont and told of how in the middle of a blizzard one evening around a year earlier, I think it was in 2010 this happened. It might have been 2016 actually. A loud knocking sounded at the front door of the house she shared with her husband. Thinking that someone had been in a motor accident due to the weather, the woman went to answer the door. A quick look out the window revealed footprints in the snow leading to the house, but there was no sign of a vehicle on the road. Now a little unnerved, she awoke her husband. As the banging on the door continued, he went to answer it. 2 children were standing on the doorstep, a boy and a girl looking to be around 8 years old. The woman recalled that they were not dressed for the cold conditions outside. So here you go. Now you've got 2 kids that aren't dressed. Just like with yours, Barry, it was cold and they had shorts on.
Yeah.
And here you got 2 8-year-olds, nighttime in a blizzard, aren't dressed for the cold conditions outside. And that she felt instantly unnerved by their presence. Despite her probable better judgment, she invited the 2 children inside. Okay, that's no, hell no.
I would too.
Always listen to your gut.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to listen to your gut.
Because at this point in time, she hasn't seen the eyes.
I realize that, but okay. So you're telling me, because I know that I couldn't help it. If it's the middle of the blizzard, so it's like sometime last week.
If it's just some random kids that I ain't seen the eyes, I probably would let them in too, in all fairness.
Right? I'd be like, oh my god, you must be freezing. Get in here.
Right?
Nope, fuck them.
Okay.
The other...
What's that?
The other weird thing about the black-eyed children things, it always gets somebody when they're alone. It's never it's not me, the dog, and the wife and the grandbabies or anything like that laying around. It is always the alone.
Maybe
you're
one
somewhere
person or
alone.
a couple. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they don't take they don't come into a place, or if you got your buddy or just like the Marine.
Right.
He was alone, thought it was his buddy. every case, you're always alone. Mine, I was in my car. In my truck. The other gentleman was in his car writing a check. They always know when you're alone. So
and you're distracted.
Well, I've heard of couples, though. I mean, there have been cases where there's been couples.
Right. Well, this is a couple. So, getting back, as she ushered these two children into the living room, she noticed how her cats appeared to be afraid of the visitors. So again, listen to your animals. With one in particular hissing at them as they passed. I don't personally know of too many cats that will hiss at children. To be honest with you. Every once in a while, yeah, you do have, feral cats.
An asshole cat.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, going by this, it doesn't sound like her cats were normally aggressive in any way. She offered to make the pair a cup of cocoa to warm them up and recalled that whatever she asked them, their reply was always the same. Our parents will be here soon. No. She came into the room with the 2 cups of cocoa, and as they looked up at her to take the drink, she noticed with horror that where their eyes should have been were 2 jet black balls like giant pupils. Mm-hmm. As she stared at them, they both suddenly asked if they could use the bathroom. She tried to remain calm and directed them to it. A moment later, her husband's nose began to bleed. And then the power suddenly went out. Okay, in all fairness, you're in a blizzard.
It is a blizzard. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. The power going out probably had nothing to do with the black-eyed kids. It might have. But that's actually the only case I've encountered that, there was a power outage. Mm-hmm. As the woman attempted to make her way to get her husband a tissue, she noticed both children standing at the end of the hall, motionless and staring at her. They suddenly broke the silence and said, "Our parents are here," before opening the front door and making their way back out into the night. Even stranger, as she went to close the door, she saw the children getting into a black car as 2 tall men, both dressed in suits, stood next to it. They, too, entered the vehicle and drove away. In the months following, the woman's husband was diagnosed with an aggressive form of skin cancer, and although she didn't get into specifics, stated that she also suddenly began to suffer from regular nosebleeds and described herself as being in the worst condition of her life. She is convinced that both her and her husband's ill health is connected to that snowy night when they allowed the 2 black-eyed children into their home. Huh.
Maybe those kids are radioactive.
That's a thought, because one sign of radioactivity is nosebleeds. It's
So what? They're the children at
nosebleeds and people developing cancer.
Right.
Keep a Geiger counter near your door.
I don't have one.
So the thing about that,
we're getting one though.
The thing about that story that was a little different than all the rest of them, is that in this particular one, what it seemed like is that the woman wasn't really afraid of them. I mean, she was, but she was calm, and she was very, here you go, and helping them more like mothering than
she had the initial feeling of dread, but she didn't know why until they were already in the house, and then she saw the black eyes.
Right, but it didn't seem like her or her husband freaked out or tried to hurt them in any way or anything like that, where all of the other cases that I've heard of, they immediately slam the door in their face, or they tell them to screw off, or they attack them in some way, or something like this. So maybe the calmness of that woman is what made her live.
That's a good point. The other point, as far as, again, like we were talking, you're in the middle of a blizzard and 2 kids show up at the door. What is your first instinct?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Like, oh my God, get in and warm up. Where are your parents? Oh, they're in the black car sitting out in the road. Yeah. See, meet the men in black. Yeah, okay. Weird.
Not a good scenario.
No, I don't want to meet the men in black.
Maybe nothing happened because the power went out, and they need the power to do whatever they're going to do.
Ooh.
See, those people might have been toast, and we never would have heard the story, but because the power went out, Mom and Dad showed up in the black car and took the kids away.
So Sherry has two problems with the story. First, we said it happens when you're alone. Yes, and there are like this case, there are cases where there is multiple people. There's a couple other cases I'm going to read where there is multiple people involved. It doesn't always happen when you're alone. Let's see, the husband was there, yes, second. And that's the only case, other than the other case I'm going to read, which actually the store owner or the store clerk, nobody knows if he's alive anyway. But again, I'm jumping the gun. The other witness did live.
Mm-hmm. I do think we got to state that this is, when it comes to black-eyed children, we do not have that much actual information.
No, it's all going by witnesses.
Yeah,
witness statements.
There's not a lot
witnesses
out there.
That lived.
Right.
That's the only case where of two people that, to our knowledge, are still alive. Who knows?
Most of the cases that lived, they didn't let them in.
Absolutely.
Right. Or they did, but they never told their story.
I don't think so. I honestly don't.
That's pretty hard to do in this day and age.
Yeah, kind of. You'd be on Facebook being like,
maybe the ones way back when, but nowadays.
But you know, if somebody, with as much publicity as this does get, the first person that lets them in and lives, don't you think they'd be all over the news going, hey, check it out. I let these black-eyed kids in, and we had dinner. We had roast beef, and they loved it. And then they went to the black-eyed, the men in black, and they left. And I'm still alive. I would think that would be, out there.
Maybe they just want to be treated fairly.
Oh,
you let them in, you're nice to them, everything's cool, you get to live. You let them in, you're a total dick.
Are you going to take that chance?
I told you.
No, you're not.
Arnold, are you going to take that chance?
Hell no.
Good answer. Joe, you going to take that chance?
I don't even let humans in my house.
Absolutely. Good answer. I already know your answer, Barry.
So Kayla's no longer allowed to answer our door.
Huh?
Kayla's no longer allowed to answer our door.
Nope. Hey, get the welder out.
Shit.
Are we welding her to something?
No, we're welding the door shut. We have one way in, one way out.
No, that's okay. The second we weld it, that's when we're going to have a fire or something.
Right? Started by the black-eyed children.
No, started by the welder.
Yeah. That too. All right, so I know you know this case, Barry. This is Harold.
Yeah.
So one of the earliest known accounts of black-eyed children dates back to 1950 in Virginia and concerns a 16-year-old boy only known as Harold. So according to the story, which was researched and investigated by David Weatherly, oh my God. So folks, if you really want a good book, David Weatherly wrote Black-Eyed Children.
Yep. And
that's the name of the book. And did intense research on this topic. We were hoping to have him on the show tonight, actually. We tried to get him. He's hard to reach because trust me, him and Ross Allison are both always busy. They work together on a lot of paranormal topics, research projects and whatnot. So they are very hard to get. We will try to get David on eventually when we can. But yeah, pick up his book, Black-Eyed Children, and I know you can find it on Amazon. Because I honestly don't know what David Weatherly's website is. But this was,
he's got several books out. David's
absolutely.
Several books.
Absolutely.
And several.
Him and Ross Allison actually work on haunted objects a lot together. So they're well versed in many different topics. But this story was actually researched by David Weatherly. And researched and investigated by David Weatherly. So this teenager was walking home one afternoon when he came across another boy leaning against a fence. as if waiting for someone. Harold attempted to speak to him, but received no response. He was about to walk off and go off with his journey, when the strange boy suddenly stated to Harold, "I want to go to your house. You're going to walk me up to your house." Like, I'm sorry, no, some strange kid tells me that, and I'm a kid. I'm doing exactly what this boy did. It was then that Harold noticed the blackness of the boy's eyes. There was no white, just solid black. Then something even stranger and even more chilling happened. Harold had begun to contemplate turning and running home as fast as he could when the boy blurted out, "Now, don't you run away from me.
Oh, that's creepy.
You're going to walk me up to your house." Harold turned and ran away, faster than his legs had ever carried him before. He later recalled to his parents that as he did so, he heard a scream behind him. A scream that sounded very similar to that of a bobcat. Oh, maybe they're shapeshifters.
Grudge.
Yeah.
Little boy.
Yeah.
Shapeshifters.
The
Interestingly,
Grudge kid had black eyes.
That's what I said.
yeah.
The little boy off of the Grudge.
right? Interestingly, his parents believed their son's account so much so that his father was said to have grabbed his gun and immediately gone out looking for the menacing boy who had demanded his son take him to their family home. His mother apparently thought her son had encountered with the devil and stated that she would take him to see the local priest. But that was the 1950s.
Yeah.
So, you know, we look at it from a 2021 perspective, a 1990s perspective.
This was in the Crossroad Demons years.
Oh, yeah.
Where
everything was a demon in the 1950s. And some people today, it's still, everything's a demon. But, you know, back in the 50s, it was even more radical with that. So, yeah, I could see that. But, you know,
I can definitely see it, especially from Virginia.
Oh God! You just had to say that, didn't you? Absolutely. We were just talking about West Virginia last night. As a matter of fact, I want to go to Point Pleasant.
No.
Oh.
I want to go see Mothman. Actually, so what's on my bucket list is actually driving extraterrestrial highway.
Oh, 375.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
And Coles is Route 66.
I've been on 66. I've been on 375. 375 is interesting. I had to stop and get a picture of the sign. Of course.
Oh yeah. I want to stop at Little Alien.
Yeah. Well, the Little Alien is a great little place.
I want to stop in there. I want to get me a few souvenirs. I want to take a picture of the black mailbox at the end of the road in Rachel, Nevada. And then I want to curve on over to Roswell, New Mexico and go to the Alien Festival. And then I want to go to Dulce, New Mexico and look for the alien base there. But anyway.
That would be a nice trip.
The report from an Ohio man who was given the pseudonym Noetic told of a strange encounter in July of 2010 with two black-eyed teenagers outside the data center where he worked. Noetic was taking a break during his night shift and was smoking a cigarette outside the building at around 5 a.m. when he noticed two teenage boys across the street from his building. He felt immediately unnerved as soon as he noticed them, perhaps because they appeared to be staring straight at him, but were otherwise motionless. He quickly finished his cigarette and went back inside the building and back to work. Around 10 minutes later, however, the intercom from the front door buzzed, and as Noetic turned to observe the monitors, he could see that it was the two boys who had been staring at him earlier. This might be a CCTV case that you were talking
See,
about.
they show up on camera.
They did on this one, yeah.
Oh, snap.
He pressed the talk button and asked what they wanted, stating he was busy. Neither of the boys spoke, but one of them motioned to the camera for him to come outside. They wanted a cigarette. That's what it was.
Wait. The kid motioned to the camera?
Yeah. He pressed the talk button again, told them they would have to leave, and then he went back to work. So the two boys continued to stare into the camera as though they were looking through the TV monitor into the room where he worked. After another 10 minutes or so, Noetic decided to go to the front door and ask the boys to leave and to let him get on with his job. Before he opened the door, however, he sneaked a look at the two boys through the one-way glass. They looked normal enough, apart from the fact that they had completely black eyes. This made him feel even more on edge, but he decided to open the door anyway and tell the boys to leave or he would have to call the police. Yeah, okay, I don't think they're scared of the cops too much. As soon as he opened the door, one of the boys said to him if he had been reading his mind, "That will not be necessary, sir. We simply need to use your phone. Can you let us in?" Noetic declined, saying that nobody was allowed in. The boys asked again to be invited into the building and then stood there staring at the now distressed man. That's what you call the cops, folks. Noetic pulled out his mobile phone, repeating his threat to call the police, and pulled the door shut again. He went back to observe the pair from the safety of the monitor. One boy remained at the door and stared into the camera, while the other boy made his way to the back of the building and stared into the camera there. Oh, hell no. I'm calling 911. No. Noetic called the police. There you go. Good boy. All the while watching his monitors, the boys made their way to a blind spot on the system's security camera, but while Noetic waited for them to reappear on one of his monitors, they seemed to have simply vanished. By the time the police did arrive at around 6 a.m., there was no sign of either of the two strange teenagers. Okay. So what do we think? There you go. You have them on CCTV. I don't know. Did you actually see the CCTV footage? Mm-mm. Neither did I. I didn't look. But, it doesn't seem he noticed the black eyes until he actually went downstairs and opened the door. So my question, I guess, would be, were they wearing hoodies, which covers the black eyes somewhat, especially from a camera view. But if they're actually looking at him through the camera, I would think he would have noticed the black eyes then.
Well, here's something that's going to debunk that for me. I mean, when you're using a camera,
right?
Let's say you're using an infrared camera. We've all been in places where we've had investigations and everything else. Have you ever seen anyone that's with you, or we've done it with groups, and I'll look at the footage, and every person that I'm looking at has black eyes.
Or they have eye shine.
True.
Yeah.
So that kind of debunks it, because the IR does something to the eye, irises of the eyes, and it looks like you're staring at black-eyed children. If there were kids there, they're all adults, but with that IR...
well, that's assuming that it's an IR camera.
Well, if it's... most of them are, though. If they're a doorknob or something, because they're 24/7. They're going to be on at night.
But not if you're in a security building with the cameras looking down.
It's lit up
from the front door. Yeah, they usually have lights to where you don't need an IR.
Okay, but what year was this?
That one was 2010. I want to say.
Okay, because it's CC cameras. They used to be black and white. I don't know when that changed over to where they went.
2010 would have been color, or a normal security camera, I would think.
Because you'll still get the black and whites for the...
Huh?
Depends on who owned it. If it's a regular CCTV camera for a business, no.
He was in a data center, though.
Probably not.
Yeah,
still black and white, because black and white still gives you the best picture.
And you would have seen their eyes as black.
True.
Anyways.
Especially for long distance viewing, like a back alley.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, you know what? What weirds me out about this one, too, is both kids knew where both cameras were.
Well, they were just messing with it. Little trickster black-eyed babies.
In all fairness, that actually could have been, just a couple of pranksters.
Right.
For that matter.
Mm-hmm. They know this dude, and they're like, check this out. We're going to freak this dude out.
Right. He's been reading about black-eyed kids. Let's paint our eyes black and go look at the cameras and scare the hell out of them. Yeah, it worked.
You just stand there and smile. I'll knock on this one.
And I mean, come on.
The bad things is one of the bad things, you can go to Halloween things and change the color of your eyes and anything, and there
Oh
is
yeah,
black eyes.
they have contacts for that now.
Yeah, you got the scarab lenses.
Right.
Woo! They make your entire eye black.
So this particular case started at 5 a.m. And I mean, come on, it took the cops an hour to get there.
It takes them like an hour and a half to get here.
Well, we're up in a rural area. I don't know where this was, but I mean, come on, we're in the mountains. Yeah, it takes an hour and a half to get a cop to show up because yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so again, it says the cops didn't arrive till 6 a.m. But in all fairness, it looks like the whole event took about 30 to 45 minutes. So he probably didn't call until 5:45.
Right.
Who knows? So I'm going to read. No, this is a long story. So I will look at the last story because we only have.
Before you start.
Yeah.
Are there any stories from police officers running into these kids?
Just the one, and I didn't print it out because, well, I didn't print out a whole lot. I printed out the best 5-6 stories to actually pick apart, which we're doing now. But no, just the one where the cop saw the two kids knocking on the balcony door at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's the only one. Now, if you just actually Google it, you'd probably pull up a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends on where you want to take with this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have law enforcement that talks about missing people. We have law enforcement that talks about UFO sightings. We have law enforcement that I actually have Homeland Security reports that talk about haunted cases with Homeland Security issues.
Yeah, but if you just wanted to get into somewhere, wouldn't a cop be the best target? I mean, honestly, if you went and knocked on a cop car and you said, "Let me in," they're going to arrest you and throw you in the back. You just got in.
That's
not here.
True. That is not true. That is not how you. If you kick the car, you get in.
Okay, fine. Whack.
I've never tried to get into a police car, but I have ended up in a police car.
But wait, would that be good enough for asking for permission? They have to ask to come in. Kicking the car is making the cop respond.
Yes, but
you're still... I think that's different than them saying, "Hey, officer, can we come in?" And he's going to say no.
If it's a young kid, the officer's going to take it up on himself to see where.
I'll take
he's
you
going to
home
have
where
to
you
say
live.
that he'll take him to his parents. That's how they roll that. They would let them in and take them to their parents. Mm-hmm. Figure out who they are.
But
so for that, we would have to look at how many cops have been just all we find is their car.
That's true.
There is nothing else.
You think they would?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they would let him in.
So, I wonder how many... I wonder how many, if you just actually look at it, and how many law enforcement car accidents that happened in mysterious conditions were caused by children or black-eyed children.
Because see, if the black-eyed children were smart enough here, now I'm not saying that they are, because they can't even get a phrase together properly.
Telegraph.
Okay? But if they picked service people, so if they went to cops and they went to social service workers,
right,
these people would let them in without question.
Oh yeah, hands down.
Yeah.
So maybe that's part of the missing 401. Because here's the thing with missing 401. It's only tracked in rural areas, national parks. You know, and actually Paulides was asked how many, city cases do you think? Well, they can't track that.
Right.
You can't track missing people in the city because you got runaways, you've got crime, you've got homicide, you human trafficking. You've got too many variables that go on in cities. But how many of them are caused by black-eyed children?
Because anybody that was, let's say a social worker or a police officer or a doctor or a nurse or something that's in this field where they are helping people all the time would be way more prone to open the door and just let them in without even looking at their eyes first.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they don't come to my house.
Well, no, so
Well, it says something about the targeting thing. They may be looking for a certain individual or someone.
Yeah.
But see, that's why I'm wondering.
They targeted Barry. He's a nice guy.
If maybe they feed off of like the fear, because the one person that we have a story where they lived, she let them in. She was nice to them. She gave them stuff. They left. They went with their parents. So maybe what they're looking for is they're actually hungry and they're like some kind of energy vampire that feeds off of the fear that they cause.
And that's very possible.
But if they don't have it, there's no point.
So, looking at CPS, looking at human services, I wonder how many of them would ignore that feeling of dread and look at these children with black eyes and say, oh my God, you're an abused child.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But if they did...
Who beat you?
But if they did let them in, they would treat them in a way that wouldn't induce fear.
Right.
So if they were some kind of that kind of entity that feeds off of that, they need the scare factor there. If they don't get it, well, there's no point in being here.
All right, on that note, it is time for our last break. And when we come back, we'll look at a couple more cases and pick them apart.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
You break, you're going down.
your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to the last hour of S4, where we're talking about the black-eyed children. And yes, my mind's going a million miles a minute now, because we're talking about other paranormal stuff. Let's see here. So, the next case we got, what do you got?
Sherry, to answer your question, the music that we play on break, we pay through a service that features up-and-coming bands. So they're just small bands, garage bands that we have picked through and found what we liked.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are we playing?
The first one from the first break was Never Return, and the second one was Hell Wildfire. That's hard to say.
Hell Wildfire.
I need to go back and listen to them. Damn, I'm missing out on some good music during the break. All right, so Midnight Caller. It almost felt like a dream. I woke up to my dog. So here you go. So looking at patterns, folks. We have a dog reaction. So I woke up to my dog Lucy barking. Okay. She was upright on the bed where my husband and I were sleeping with our 22-month-old daughter, staring at our door like an unknown stranger was out there rummaging around. I thought she was just freaking out over a house noise. We'd only had her for 3 months and she was still a puppy. It could have been anything. Our roommate. A creak from the house settling. The awnings moving outside in the breeze. I wasn't too concerned initially. I decided the best bet would be to open the door and show her nothing was there.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, that's really smart. Yeah, you're a smart one there, ain't you, Cookie?
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds a bit silly, but it's what we do with our daughter when she gets scared. I bet you don't do it no more. And I figured it should work with a puppy. I opened the door and she raced to the front door. She stood there snarling at the door. Okay, so we're going from barking to snarling. It was an angry, violent growl, one I'd never heard her make before. I looked groggily at her and opened the baby gate, blocking the doorway, planning to open the door and show her everything was okay. The second my hand reached for the deadbolt, Lucy went wild. She started barking and jumped towards me, and when I touched the metal, she suddenly changed her temper. She whimpered, almost like she was afraid and backing down. As her mannerism changed, so did mine. I wasn't calm anymore. My heart was racing and sinking at the same time. So bear in mind, she doesn't even know what's at the door yet.
Mm-hmm. Right.
She hasn't even looked outside yet. She hasn't, I don't even know if she's heard a knocking yet, because we haven't even heard that part. Because right now, all she's doing is going to open the door to show the dog that everything is okay. Yeah. So where did all these feelings come from? You know, it's interesting picking these cases apart because she hasn't even seen black-eyed kids yet or know they're there. So I looked to the people. Oh yeah, I've been flooded with a mixture of fear and dread. I looked to the people. I can't explain why I looked, but I did. And outside were two kids. One was just a smidgen shorter than me and didn't look much younger. I'm 21, and she looked to be about 16 or 17. She was slender and pale. Her hair was a light shade of honey blonde, and she wore it long, about mid-back, with long, thin, blunt bangs in the front that covered most of her eyes. She wore jeans, a light wash that's popular right now, and a thin-looking olive-colored pullover style hoodie. There you go, Barry.
There you go. Yeah.
She held the hand of a small girl who looked to be around 3 or 4, in the same style of jeans and a button-down ivory cardigan. The smaller one looked at the floor shyly, but had the same shade of hair, tied back in a ponytail. She held a stuffed toy under her free arm. So, see, this is the first case. So, one, we haven't heard of any real 3 to 4-year-olds. They've always been about 6. And this is the first case I've heard of a stuffed animal, or a stuffy.
Right, somebody carrying something like that. Yep.
Yep. And it was identical to one my daughter has. So they know your name, Barry, but they've got the same toy her child's got.
Yep.
Ain't that kind of ironic?
They're pulling on emotions.
Yep. And it was identical to what my daughter has, as was their style of dress. Had it not been for the feeling of overwhelming dread and fear, I probably would have asked these children in and given them some tea or hot chocolate to get them out of the bitter cold. Something about them seemed off. At this point, I hadn't made any noise. I hadn't shushed the dog or grumbled, nothing. I hadn't turned on any lights. These kids had no indicators I was at the door. But the older one spoke. She had a voice that was mature, confident, strong, and accentless. She held her head tilted downward, and I couldn't see her eyes. She said, "We have to use your phone." I stood frozen in fear. How did she know I was there? She raised her head to face me directly, and that was when I saw her eyes. There was a reason I couldn't see them through her bangs before. They were black, or midnight blue, or a dark, dark purple. They were otherworldly. She said, "Our mother is worried." Yeah, well, ones do too. As someone who has always been interested in creepy stories, I knew what she was the second she looked at me through the door. I have never seen one before to believe in these things. As a staunch atheist and skeptic when it comes to the paranormal, I had written off many a ghost story from friends and family members eager to tell their tale. I didn't believe it. Still, I couldn't rationalize my way out of this. I was standing with nothing but a thin wooden door between me and a black-eyed kid. There was no questioning what she was right in front of me. I did not answer. Slowly and silently, I backed away from the door, Lucy still cowering at my ankles. She kept talking. "Just let us in to use your phone." I took another step back, and with that step, the tone changed. At first, she seemed polite. When I took that second step back, she became commanding, almost hostile. "We're not going to hurt you. If we wanted to do that, we would have broken in." You know what?
Geez.
No. This is where the pointy sticks come out. Actually, this is where the gun comes out. You're not a kid no more. "I'll ask again. May we come in and use your phone?" Lucy snarled at the door, and I inched backwards, though something inside me seemed to be slowly pulling me back toward the door. So here you go. Here you have that mind control kind of aspect to it.
Right.
It wasn't a physical pulling so much as a subconscious need to go back and let them in. I got to my room, covered up the window, locked the door, and sat there in the dim light of the moonlight, of the nightlight. I heard her call me back to the door once more, and then quiet. I didn't go back to sleep that night, and I haven't slept since. I know from reading about them the BEKs can't just come in without permission. I know they haven't hurt anyone. Oh, yeah, that's debatable. But I still fear I'll be the exception. When I told my husband, he said it was just a dream. He keeps telling me to forget it, but this lingering feeling of sadness, this dread when the house is silent at night, this fear of a knock at the door, this tells me otherwise. So you've got multiple signs with that one. You got the animal reaction, which started out, "I'm the big bad dog, I'm going to kick anything's ass," to the cowering. And that's the case I brought up earlier toward the beginning of the show, where she's looking through the peephole. None of the lights were on. And it is possible there. You can see a shadow below the door sometimes, depending on how the door is,
or how well lit your house is,
or how well lit your house is. If you have creaking floorboards, they might hear the creaking of the floorboard. In all fairness, she could have known that woman was standing there just by. We all know about. You probably wouldn't. You have to be allowed.
That would be
Huh?
But that could have been just a ploy to see if they could get the woman back to the door to open it up.
That's true, because they knew she was backing away.
Yes.
And that's where the psychic sense from these kids seems to come in. Because, I mean, they knew Barry's name. They obviously knew what kind of toys this woman's baby had. And what kind of... Because if you caught that, they were wearing the same style clothes her kids were wearing.
Yeah.
I mean... You know,
they were playing off of the fact that she was a new mom.
The store clerk actually moved, if I remember right. I'll read it here in a minute. But I think he actually moved because of Black Eyed Kids. Moved to where he was then when this happened. And again, but the Black Eyed Kids weren't after him necessarily. They were after the other victim. So were they actually after him? They might have been, because he actually got in a fight with one of them. And, well, nobody really knows what happened, because the actual initial victim actually called the store to check on him and was told, oh, he quit. Not by the person, but by whoever was on the phone. So did he really quit, or was he actually gone, missing? Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Was that the black-eyed kid on the phone telling him that?
They've left.
It's possible.
So I'm wondering, if black-eyed kids go to a different country and they were to knock on a door, would they have the accents of that country?
Or the language?
The language of that country?
I don't. You know, that's a good question. Because
Well,
I
if you
haven't
take
heard
the philosophy that if you take the philosophy that they're like ET or anything like that, then they understand all kinds of knowledge in languages, because they're using it as a talking through their mind. It's a mind speak.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Okay.
And
because honestly,
that'll
I
be
haven't
interesting
heard
to find out if they actually hear it through the door, if they're actually hearing it,
or if it's all in their head.
if it's coming through your mind and you think you hear.
Well, and I don't know of any cases where they actually talk about the kid's lips moving or not moving.
There was one that I was reading. You remember that?
Well, somebody had to know if they talked about the ragged teeth.
Yeah, where they saw the teeth. It was the same one, and it was their mouth didn't move with the words that were coming out of it properly.
No, it went their mouth, like their jaw, literally disconnected and
didn't
just moved up and down
properly.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That would be way scarier. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like some black-eyed babies, okay, I could probably deal with that. But if their jaw disconnected and they had scary-looking freaking
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
that's a little different.
I mean, that's like one of the worst nightmares. You get
Right?
the black-eyed
Exactly.
child with the mouth that drops all the way down to its belly.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
thanks.
that's like black-eyed Momo. No, thank you.
Okay, so Sherry wants to know, okay, are these black-eyed kids aliens or what? I'm still confused. Hey, nobody knows, Sherry?
Yeah,
nobody.
that's the bad part.
That's
Sherry.
the $1,000,000 question.
I'm sure that somebody
What are
knows, but
the-
they've never lived in hell.
I think the only one who would know would be the black-eyed children themselves. But again, we're just throwing the theories out. We're just throwing the stories out. And not even the facts, because nobody knows these are witness reports. The only one that actually has a first-hand account is actually Barry.
Yeah.
I've never encountered him. I don't think they got the... Well, I'm not going to challenge that. But
All right, I know what happened to you if you don't answer your phone tomorrow.
Oh, no. I've got pointy sticks, and I got pointy sticks that actually throw bullets out. Yeah.
You also have kids that would say, "Come on in."
Yeah, you do.
I didn't even print that story out, because there's another story where...
Yeah, if your kid answers the door...
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, here, come here."
Oh, yeah, they can come in, because there's actually another case where the woman left her kid, which is the stupidest shit you can do. This woman left her kid in the back seat of the car. Mm-hmm. She goes to the store. And, well, we know what happens anyway. Your car gets stolen with the kid in it. But that's a whole other thing. But she leaves this kid in the back seat of her car. She goes in the store. She comes out. She doesn't even look. She just gets in. She looks in the back seat, and, well, there is a black-eyed child in the back seat with her child. She jumps out of the car, she grabs her kid, and pulls her kid out of the car, leaving this black-eyed child in the car. And I don't remember the rest of that case, because I just know that is one case where, yes, the child said, yeah, come on in. We can play.
Will that help? Because the thing is, whenever they talk, they only say, let us in. They don't say, let us into your house. They just say, let us in. So are they meaning, let us into your domicile, or are they meaning, let us into you? Are they asking for permission to enter you?
That's a good question. That'd be a possession. I mean, and that would indicate demonic.
Well, not necessarily.
And there's stories about it. You know, that's the funny thing about it is like what Sherry was asking. You know, there are so many cases that are different in that way, where you look at it and say, okay, this would fit a demonic, this would fit a spirit entity, this would fit a hybrid ET, this would fit this thing. They're so
that's the thing.
hard to be able to peg.
Well, and right now, they would have a really easy time getting into people's houses. All they'd have to do is bring a pizza with them.
Not with COVID.
Or a bag of food.
Yeah.
And wear a mask.
Right? Put a mask on.
Now, that would be the interesting thing that would be interesting, if they had a mask on or not. You know?
Right. And I mean, honestly,
I'm starting to think it might be a good idea to keep a squirt bottle with holy water by your front door. Just in case, you know. It might work.
Let us in.
You never know.
Okay, you're safe.
Squirt, squirt.
Well, that's what that's what PBR is saying. Let us sin. Yeah, we sin all the time. But anyway. Oh.
Dude, yeah, like the older ones, like the 16-year-olds. If
Right.
they were to just carry a pizza or like a bag of food or something up to a door.
You would think they were Uber Eats.
Yeah, and you'd be like, oh, cool, you're here, buddy. Here, come here.
No, I'd be like, you got the wrong house. I didn't order Uber Eats. It must be the neighbor. Send them to the neighbor, and they can disappear. You wouldn't care. You don't like your neighbor anyway. But yeah, they just give them some. Anyway.
That's a good idea. If a black-eyed kid comes to my door, I'll say, go to my neighbor's house. He's got a phone.
Right. What if you? And that's curious too. What if you don't have a phone? What if all you have? I mean, most of us,
It's a telegraph.
Most of us only have a cell phone. A lot of homes don't have landlines because landlines suck. Everything's digital now. Everyone's got a cell phone. They don't have a landline.
Right.
So
I'm willing to bet Barry has telegraph wires going to his house.
Barry probably does.
Have they ever asked to use a CB radio?
No, I haven't read any cases about that. In which case, I'd say go in the garage, and then I'd shut the door, and I'd say, "Hey, I caught one." Yeah. So the last case, he told me to never agree to help them. So it was a cold October evening, and so what is a fact based on the cases that we've read. It can happen during the day or the night. And it doesn't really matter what season it is because, some people think, they only come around in October for Halloween. This case actually is in October, but not for Halloween.
But it seems like they come around more often when it's cold out because everybody's noticing that,
right.
Hey, they're wearing shorts.
This is true.
Like,
yeah.
And you would think they would come around more during Halloween because they can blend in easier.
Right.
So it was a cold October evening, not too far off from Halloween. I remember sitting in my room playing the original Suikoden. Suikoden? Suikoden? You ever heard of that game?
What?
I haven't either.
No, that's where I go. Yeah.
The evening was slowly creeping by, so I decided to go to the corner store. It was only 3 blocks. Shouldn't be much trouble, right? During my walk, I see the normal, the occasional person putting up Halloween decorations and kids playing in their yards. But this story is about something far more sinister. I remember seeing 2 teens, about age 14, knocking on a door asking to use the phone.
So neighbors do see them. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, cool.
Which, of course, I thought was weird because most teens these days have phones.
Mm-hmm.
As I kept walking, they stopped and stared at me for a short moment. I felt the blood and veins chill. I felt so creeped out, I hurried to the next block. The next block seemed fine until I looked behind me and saw the 2 teens were following me. I took off sprinting to the store at this point. I saw the sign for the store and relief washed over me. I opened the door and I told the cashier about what happened on the way here. He looked at me slightly creeped out and told me a story about this happening to him in his hometown and how they found him the day he left and asked for his help in an emotionless voice, and he told me to never agree to help. He told me another story, but at that point I was no longer paying attention because they were standing at the door asking to be let in. The cashier freaked out. I would too if I'd already encountered him before. And he locked the door. The teens never seemed to waver or leave. They wouldn't step away from the door. It had been an hour. Wait, stop. You got 2 teens that are stalking your store. You're the cashier. Wouldn't you call the cops again?
Yeah, that'd be the first
Yeah.
thing. Yes.
If you already encountered, the black-eyed children, and you know who these are, I'd be calling the cops.
Yes, but also we've seen where they have this mind-controlling type power where you're too scared to even move.
Oh, this one gets even worse.
If you're terrified enough that you're not moving, you're not thinking about calling either. You're just standing there staring.
Maybe.
You're letting him in. Don't even.
I've got some cotton candy. Oh, yeah. So, it had been an hour. They wouldn't step away from the door. The cashier and I were ready to fight our way out. But instead, he took me out the back. The one teen came around the back just as the door shut behind us. "Can you help me out?" is all he could say. He was closing in on us, and his eyes, they were black as a starless night. They were peering right into my soul. I couldn't help but gaze into his eyes. The terror. I can't remember too much what happened next, but I do recall the sound of a struggle. When I came to, the cashier was struggling with both teens. He was calling out to me for help. Oh my God, really? This kid ran away.
Yeah, this is...
Yeah?
No, I carry a knife. Uh-huh. No. Yeah.
It's a kid!
Huh?
It's a kid!
No.
I'd have ran away. As a kid?
So the cashier's calling him for help. I ran towards him, grabbed him by the collar, and pulled him between the 2, and knocking them over in the process. I didn't look back until I was near my house. The cashier was gone, but the teens were still following behind. I ran into my house, closed all the blinds, and turned the music up. I got lucky that day, but I'm not sure how long I can keep out of their grasp. I tried to find and thank the cashier for saving my life that day, but he didn't show up to work after that. I asked his boss, and he told me he called over the phone and quit. He said he was moving. So he might have moved. Honestly, I think if that was my second Black-Eyed Kids experience, I think I'd be moving too. But again, was it the Black-Eyed Kids that called and said, "I'm moving"? To this very day, I sometimes feel the fear of those eyes watching me as I drive to work. I sometimes will look out my window and swear I see them watching my house from a couple blocks away, waiting for their next chance. So here you have a case where obviously they did actually stalk the cashier. Mm-hmm. So maybe they do. That's the only case I've read where they've actually, someone's actually had multiple experiences of black-eyed children. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like the stalking idea. Or the targeting idea. It does sound like it seems to be.
That would suck, huh, Barry?
Oh,
Yeah,
we
it
got,
does. Yeah.
Barry, are you looking out the window again?
Yeah, I am. Believe me.
Hey, that ain't funny. I've been sitting outside the whole time looking down my driveway.
What about you, Arnold?
Hey, I have to say, I keep looking up at the window. So.
Yep. Yeah.
But going back
Maybe.
going back to when they're coming around, it seems like most of it was when it was colder weather.
Right.
Wouldn't you think that during that time they think that more people would let them in because it's colder?
And
Good idea.
That goes to the emotional process. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not only that, but if they're that fair-skinned, the sun might hurt them.
Possible.
So, like,
Good point.
summertime, maybe they'd be like, nah.
That's a good point. Also, most people in the winter
Are home?
are home.
Uh-huh.
So has there been any hotel cases? Like, knock, knock, knock on a hotel door?
Not that I read
Right.
like 20 or 30 cases. I picked the best 6.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read any hotel cases.
That's called housekeeping.
I know. That's another
Oh,
mistake.
that'd be a good way in. Housekeeping. Yeah.
Oh, come on in. Oh,
right?
right.
Or
Now it would be IT guy. Okay.
right.
Jesus. Maybe they've moved digital. Maybe they don't need to actually come to the house anymore. Maybe if all they're looking for is permission to come into something, if you give them remote access,
Oh my God.
then they're in.
Really?
I don't know.
Cyber black-eyed kids.
Cyber
That's
kids.
even scarier. I'm sorry. All of a sudden, your webcam light comes on.
Can we come out to play? Yeah, no.
Oh, what is it?
It's weird because with Skype, ours is supposed to be on, kinda,
Right?
unless I hide it. This is the first show where it hasn't been on at all.
Oh, that's kind of weird.
They're watching us.
So but here's what's creepy too.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring up the digital age. What
Right.
do we all have?
Cell phones, computers.
No. Huh?
COVID.
No.
Oh.
What's that thing that talks every once in a while during the show?
Oh, Google Homes
Children.
or
Huh?
Siri.
Children.
No.
Your Google
Alexa?
Home or your Series or your
Alexa.
Siri?
That's
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to think of. Alexa. What
She
would
has
you
said the right answer 5 times to you. That's
I
Google
know.
Home.
What would you do if all of a sudden Alexa says, "May I use your telegraph?"
Hey, you know what? It says weird
Yeah.
shit like that sometimes. Okay, seriously. They say weird stuff like that sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Or they giggle in the middle of the night. That scared a whole bunch of people.
Yep.
Okay.
What if that's black-eyed kids in the digital age?
Right? They're just trying to get through no matter whatever way they can.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, so I have a story about that. The other night,
Okay.
I was watching a show called Longmere,
Uh-huh.
and the guy is technologically inept, and he said something, and he used the words, "Hey Google," and our Google Home started up and started playing a song, and no matter what I said to it, it would not turn off.
Somebody else control it.
Yeah, that's why we unplugged it.
It wouldn't recognize my voice after, so I unplugged the goddamn thing. Try it now.
Oh, wow.
That was
Yeah.
the black-eyed kid outside the door that wanted to hear some music.
Well, you know our Google is just as much of a participant in our show as we are.
Well, yeah.
Most weeks.
Yeah. Our listeners don't hear that, but every once in a while Google pops up with, "Oh, yeah, out of this world. Yeah, UFOs. That's yeah, okay. Shut the hell up."
If he was plugged in, he would have answered at least 5 times already tonight.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Oh, God.
I
now
called
we're getting-
Siri Alexa. Now she won't talk to me.
You pissed her off. Good job, Joe.
Hey, I was thinking, if these things come up knocking your, every one of these shows we're talking about some weird cryptid or some weird scary things, and my mind automatically goes to security measures.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking if the black-eyed kids come up and knock on your door and you see them through the window or something, knock back from the inside. See what they do. Because on humans, it'll work. They'll go away.
Right.
That's kind of like using the logic you're saying. Let me out. I need to use your phone.
Can I come into the out now?
Right?
Yeah.
No.
Run out on the porch and say, feed me.
Play reverse psychology on the black-eyed kids?
Yeah.
I'm hungry. Me too.
Answer the door wearing sunglasses.
Oh.
Huh.
Yeah, why don't they have sunglasses on?
Because they're expensive and they already don't have any food. Like, come on.
They're obviously hungry. They want to come in, right?
Right.
So I wonder if this has ever happened to a school.
A black-eyed kid transfers into your kid's school?
I'm not going there. I'm leaving that one alone.
What? The school?
No, I am a bad person. I'm not going.
No, the school called CPS on child abuse or something. And well, yeah.
Didn't you go to a Catholic school? That would be really bad, wouldn't it? Like,
The only person we ever had try to get in was a hobo with an axe.
oh, that's
In Catholic school?
awesome.
Yeah. A couple of he lived down by the river in a little like hut that he made,
Uh-huh.
and a couple kids went down there and destroyed it.
Ooh.
So he came and tried to
Make them build them a new
cut
hut?
up the school.
Yeah.
Like no, he literally like it was a brick building, and he was trying to break it down.
There's hatcheting in it.
You try to break bricks with an axe?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then he actually got into the front door. They had all of us in the gym, and he broke a few windows, and hit the walls a few times. Most of the walls, though, were cement, so...
Hey, so that brings up a point with the black-eyed kids, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do they just walk over and, like, eat the homeless guy? Because he wouldn't have to let him in.
Yes, he does. He has a domicile.
He has a cardboard
Let me
box.
into your cardboard box.
Or a tent.
Tent.
And there's no cases of that.
Culvert.
No cases of
Oh,
campers?
God. No, there was a video that Fox News caught, or one of the news channels caught, of a car wreck. Did you see that one?
Mm-mm.
And there's two black-eyed kids that are actually in the bushes. Now, I don't like video because video can be altered, video can be faked,
Right.
whatnot. And it wasn't actually on the live news broadcast. It was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything can be altered.
Right.
So unless I'm actually watching the news live at the moment and then see them, I'm like, haha, yeah, there they are. But, yeah, so I watch everything, I read everything, research everything with a grain of salt anyway. What's up?
Barry, what the hell did you just send me?
Extraterrestrial Highway?
I was just ready to type something in. I was thinking about a case that I did not do. I went down for a pre-interview, and I took a picture of this 16-year-old girl who was having problems. And that's what appeared on her. But the weird thing about it is, if you look in the background, there are two children that were not there.
Holy smokes, I just got that picture.
And I was thinking about it, and I thought, was I somewhere where there was black-eyed children for some dang reason? I just thought of it, and that was October 1st, 2016. I took that, and I was digging through it while I was listening to you guys talk. I was like going,
the one in the
wait a
back
minute.
doesn't look like a child.
Does that lady have black eyes?
The one in the back doesn't look like a child.
Well, they weren't even there.
It looks like Dave Grohl from the Foo
Okay,
Fighters.
I see three weird things about that picture. Okay, the two kids that you say weren't there. Number one, the upside-down cross on her nose.
Yeah.
Number three, doesn't it look like there's something right next to her that's blacked out. It's like a little head and
has a little
like an alien, maybe
flesh type dot
right next to her.
it.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what?
We were thinking about, he said, now nobody's had pictures of him, and I thought, I wonder if that was what. I mean, it's weird that I thought about that case. I just was like going, maybe I do have a picture of black-eyed children.
And it's possible.
Those kids weren't there.
No.
If anyone would like to see the picture, I'm going to put it on the S4 page right now.
Be careful with that, but you might have to doctor that up because of it's an actual person and
okay, yeah, no,
somebody would know it.
Never mind.
Sorry, you can't see nothing. There'd be no point in sharing it then because her face is part of the.
Yeah, that's the weirdness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, her face has anomalies too. So yeah, with that we have to get confidentiality agreements signed and whatnot.
That is weird though.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
If you look at the black mark beside her, it actually looks like it almost has a head.
Yeah,
that's brown.
I know.
Okay.
I just blew up the picture, and it looks like there's something right next to her.
I'll blow it up later. Where was this? What state? That's all you know.
Tennessee.
Okay.
I would have put my money on Kentucky.
Right? I was like,
It's officially the weirdest state out there.
It was just across the line, buddy. I mean, I'm not kidding.
Hey, Joe, you just really upset everyone in Florida, and they're going to do whatever they can to get that title back.
So,
come on, Florida.
I wonder if there's any cases of like a little kid befriending a black-eyed child. Like I've never heard of one, but
so with that, really, the closest you could get would be the child that was in the back seat, because that child actually did let the black-eyed child into the car because they were going to play.
Right.
Was anything going to happen to the child? Who knows?
Well, it'd be interesting to find out whatever happened to that child now.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, would it be weird if he was missing or something like that? 3 years later, he gets a little older.
I would be more prone with some kind of a medical illness or even cancer or something of that nature.
Right.
That seems to be the pattern with that.
Yeah.
We're back to the radiation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I found something about when you're talking about schools and stuff that in Texas in the 1950s, the school was shut down in the 50s, and for years nobody wanted to visit it. After a group of local teenagers broke in to explore, and only to find black-eyed children sitting at the desk inside. And after the incident occurred, after the incident occurred, the trespassing teens were reported by their parents to behave as though they were possessed by demons, hiding in their dark rooms, eating insects. And the building has been known in many cases for paranormal activity, and even after being rebuilt into a castle, it caught fire in 2020.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
So, what baffles me too is getting back to the language thing. They've all spoken English, and I couldn't find any international cases other than in the UK. The UK had quite a few, and I didn't get into the UK cases so much, but England specifically had quite a few black-eyed children cases, and America did, and that's all I could find. I couldn't find anything international besides England.
Maybe a lot of the international countries, the people are nicer and they're letting the kids in, and we don't hear their stories because they're dead.
That could be too.
Or maybe that's something that their country just doesn't talk about. There are
that could be that.
like that.
That could be true too. But it makes me wonder. So we know them as pale and pasty skin, black eyes, whatnot. Would they alter their appearance for, say, Africa or
any other country?
Any other country, yeah.
I'm just saying, Japan definitely lets him in.
Yeah. Well, the funny
you
thing
look
about
at
it
all
is
of their
that-
spirits. All their spirits are kids with black eyes.
Yeah. Is that a cultural thing?
Yeah, well, some of the things that I remember from Weatherly's book, he mentions that there were like Japanese type styles, or some with yellow skin, or whatever, that they were culturally correct in the area that they were, whatever they were seeing.
Okay. One thing so you've read David's book. You've talked to David a lot more. I met David and Ross both in Canada at Dave Scott's Paracon when I spoke there. They were speakers as well. Is he a skeptic? Because if I remember, I saw one interview where David was saying he was a skeptic of black-eyed children.
He's not a skeptic of him. It's just a thing where do you place them at? You know, they're through history. There are reports of them. It's just like witnesses. Sometimes we're skeptical of certain cases.
Oh, absolutely.
Your mind goes that way. But it's something when you're sitting there saying, yeah, there's times that I've interviewed Bigfoot guys that say, well, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe that it's something's, maybe it's skeptical, maybe it's something with the person's mind and their
mental state rather than something that actually happened.
Right.
Exactly. We all know where my mental state is, so, I mean, no.
Well, you've encountered them. I can look at these kind of cases, and I have to go by witness statements, so I have to go by what the facts of the signs and symptoms are. That's what I look at. Signs and symptoms. What are the patterns?
Right, exactly. And it's, there are certain ones you hear and you say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't fit right. Just like we were doing here tonight.
Right.
You look at it and you go, okay, that doesn't add up. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't.
But that also comes from experience, because looking at the overall panel that we have on S4 every week, we've all had encounters of some form, whether it's UFO, whether it's ghost and spirit, whether it's research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, and it's like going when you talk about David Weatherly. David is one of the. He is like Mr. Knowledge. You know? He's been doing it for such a long time, and he has traveled and he's worked with in different areas. He knows about jinn. He knows all of the areas that he's been with shamans. He's traveled throughout the world.
Oh, him and Ross both. I mean, they work together hand in hand with a lot of projects, and they are world traveled for damn sure.
Yeah, exactly. And they work with Nick Redford. You mentioned Nick. They work with Dave Spinks. And they're all traveling all over the place. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, you get to see so much, and there's so much lore, and there's so much culture that goes into this, that you have to take that into consideration. So that's part about having the mind open, but not so open that your mind falls out.
Right.
But these guys are premium researchers. These are the guys who are the boots on the ground and are out there, and you can't say enough about Ross and David and all those groups. I mean, those are the ultimate boots on the ground investigators that we all it's a pleasure to be able to go work with them. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to them. It's just they're just very special people, and it's some days we all get questions in our mind. Is this right? Is this because just like with the black-eyed children, Sherry asking us, well, what the hell is this thing? Well, unfortunately, sometimes you can't wrap your mind around it.
That's the $1 million question.
Right, Yeah.
So what do we got going on Into the Fire this week, Barry?
Into the Fire, we've got a great guest. We've got Terry Lovelace talking about UFOs, abductions. And he is the author of Devil's Den. So he just came out with a new book, and he's working on another book, just started a new radio show. So it should be a really interesting conversation with Terry. I've had a few with him before, and he's just a great guy. Lives in Florida, and just super involved with can't think of the name right now, but just a super individual, and really looking forward to interviewing him. Haven't talked to him in about 6 months. So
excellent,
good deal,
excellent. So next week we have MJ12 and Project Blue Book. And so along with those two topics, we've got so much going on today with all these secret documents being released by, about the UFO project and whatnot. We're going to talk about UFOs today, along with, in comparison with what Blue Book brought out and what MJ12 was starting out to be.
It's exciting times, folks. I mean, we've got so much stuff coming out, and it all plays together, and you could actually start putting pieces together a little bit more now.
Well, and that's where I'm curious too. Is Project ATIP, or is ATIP actually in conjunction with Blue Book? Did Blue Book ever stop and ATIP picked up?
Well, that was one of the things that we always thought about because of where a lot of things come from. By the way, I'm going to say this before I say what my comment is that even though I'm with MUFON and I stand with MUFON and everything else, it doesn't mean that all the things that I do, I have my own personal opinions, and these are my opinions, not of MUFON's opinions.
Right.
But, it's just like anything. They stopped they were going to stop in January of 69. They ended up stopping in January of 70. And any person who was out there in that time and started started in the 1969 period. MUFON did. Funny thing that I always look at is like Hynek. Hynek was, before that, used by Project Blue Book and was the skeptic of the bunch, correct? And then what happens? He starts his own UFO group, UFOs, saying he changed his mind. So, yeah, that's a very big possibility. It's just like we see today where you look at things and it goes, hey, look, you don't want to put a FOIA together? Well, what do? Let's send it into a private hand because you can't get a FOIA from anybody that is private industry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
looking at J.L. and Hynek, and you look at today, you throw a skeptic into a paranormal investigation as a skeptic, that goes into a severe haunted area or a severe UFO hotspot. The chances are the more immersed they get into the paranormal as a skeptic, you're going to turn them into a believer. based on experiences. And I think that's what happened to Jalen Hynek. He was going in with a scientific mind because he was, I believe he was a physicist, was he not?
Mm-hmm.
And
taught at Ohio State.
And the government hired him with the thought that, he's going to debunk everything because he's a physics expert. And you know what? The truth is out there. The truth is going to set you free. And it did with him. He went in there as the skeptic the government hired him for. And, he basically told the government, this shit's real. And there you go.
Well, it's just like most of the paranormal investigators, like myself, for as long as I've been doing it. First of all, you're very skeptical about stuff, and then it does soften after a while, and you have to actually work at and remember to debunk and try to do all the things that you have. You just can't go, yep, that's it.
Well,
seen that before.
I'm going to tell you straight up, in 1988, 1989, if you told me there was paranormal, I would have shrugged my shoulders and said, okay, whatever. 1990 is where, oh my God, really? Can you stop now? But no, it didn't stop.
Yeah.
Well, here I am.
1988? I would have said Ninja Turtles are pretty cool.
What?
Ninja Turtles are pretty cool. That's all I would have said.
Who is
the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay.
I was 4, so
you were 4.
like,
No, I get that. 1988. So I knew about the occult. That's where I was. I knew a lot of occult members. I wasn't in the occult. I wasn't even really a practicing witch back then. That's where I started studying, though. And then, of course, the paranormal is where it slapped me in the face and said, guess what, we're real. And I'm like, oh, God, really? Again, it escalated from there. UFOs really didn't hit me until 1994.
But it's funny, they all hit at the same, they all come. You don't just get into the paranormal. That's why the true paranormal investigators that are doing it all the time will see so many weird things that it has to take them down another path, because you realize that there is something so strange going on that they are intertwined.
Oh, absolutely. And from 1990 to 1994, I was dealing with nothing but spirit and other entity types. I didn't even get into the Bigfoot field until 2014. So I'm a baby when it comes to the Bigfoot side. But again, I've had tree knock responses. I've seen the Bigfoot tracks, things of that nature. So I've got the personal experience on that side. But no, when it comes to Bigfoot, I'm a baby. But again, prior to 2014, if you would have said Bigfoot's real, I would have shrugged my shoulders and said, I have no doubt about it, but it's not my interest. My interest is alien abduction and UFOs, and of course the hauntings. But I would expect that I don't have to say the hauntings, because that comes with the whole the whole picture here.
It does.
So with that, folks, stay tuned. Check out Into the Fire on Tuesday night, and we will be talking a topic I love to talk about, which is Blue Book and MJ12. I would like to get all the names of MJ12, all the MJ12 members, and pick them apart and see where they stand today. See if their family members are still involved in the government in some way, shape, or form. So,
was it one of them, Vandevar Bush?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've heard that name before somewhere.
I think he was in charge of MJ12, actually. So, with that, y'all stay safe. If you haven't heard of Forest Moon Paranormal, check us out. Forest Moon Paranormal group on Facebook. And we do have an investigation on March 27th at the Hub. And we'll be talking about that on the show on the 28th, along with Northwest Paranormal Research Group.
Also, don't forget, spring is coming, people. So, go to www.s4radio.com and buy your apron for grilling season. It is coming.
Right?
Yes. Grilling season is coming out, and you must have the S4 apron.
Yeah, right. And I know we have about 2 minutes left. So, honestly, we are getting some equipment that we can actually design our own bumper stickers and our own T-shirts and our own patches, things like that. So we will be selling them. They won't be in the store because the store just really costs us too much money for running it on the website. So we are going to be pulling a lot of that merchandise off. We will be keeping 5 different items on there, just because really no one buys merchandise. They just don't. That's just a fact. So we're taking a lot of that stuff off just to cut down our cost, because running a show or a podcast, radio show costs money.
What we might do is feature them on Facebook.
Right.
And sell it that way.
We'll find other ways to get stuff out. We will be at the Marble Sasquatch Festival August 21st and 22nd. Mark that on your calendar if you're local. I know that Sevilla is looking for vendors. You can find that information also in the FFP group. And S4 will be there, interviewing the speakers, selling our mugs, our bumper stickers, and other S4 and FMP merchandise. So with that, y'all stay safe this week, and remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.